Envision a sanctuary where community and sustainability are the cornerstones of living. In this haven, every family is able to grow their own food, children flourish through homeschooling tailored to unlock their full potential, and education extends beyond textbooks, instilling self-worth and a deep understanding of the world around them. Here, goodwill isn't just an ideal, it's the essence of daily life, where respect for law and order harmonizes with the community's resourcefulness. This place isn't just a dream, it's a call to action for everyone who believes in a better, more connected way of living. Join us in building a future where each individual's contributions create a tapestry of enduring harmony and prosperity. Join us in Hotepistan.
Hey, we getting big brain today. The Grift Report starts right now.
2, 1, boom. Hotep Jesus.
Of all the Jesuses I know, he's the Hotepiest. Social scientist and YouTube host, Hotep Jesus.
How the fuck do you get a name like Hotep Jesus?
The one and only Hotep Jesus.
Ryan Sharp, better known to the world as Hotep Jesus.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Somebody said, what do you think you are, some kind of Hotep Jesus?
Ooh,
and
that's
I was
good.
Just like, ooh, that's sexy. Yes, I do think I'm Hotep Jesus.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the Grift Report, live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, the Griff God.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
Hotep to the chat, Hotep to the Hotepistanis.
Hotep.
What up, fam? Lauren in the house. What up, Lauren? Strong Dad Protocol, Steph Colonel, Nerd Nash, happy Hotep Thursday. Champ, what up? Daxter, Kelson, Lindsay, our sister podcast, Haram Life, DJ Protocol. And as always, Kelson is in the house. What's up, family? Listen, we got a lot to cover today. It's going to be a big brain session today, so I'm going to run through the bullshit really fast, and so we can get to some of the big brain content we got lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about Byron Donalds, but we're going to dive into the Israel-Palestine conflict a little bit later, probably in about 30 minutes here, so I can show you why I don't get involved in the Israel-Palestine conflict, because I've educated myself on the matter. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But first, as you all know, it is Strong Dad June. So we got to lead off with the Strong Dad June message of the day. Do remember that Strong Dad June is the coupon code for 45% off menofwater.com products. That includes Apex, and that includes Flowpex, the combo. All right? So make sure y'all get in tune. With that being said, let's dive right into Strong Dad message of the day.
Up, y'all, it's Strong Dad June, day number 6, and today let's give our love and gratitude, our appreciation and respect to the veteran dads and granddads, the men who came before us, who paved a way literally for all of us. Think about this. Many of you out there wouldn't even exist in this world if your grandfather or your father didn't make it out of a terrible time, right? A time of complete uncertainty. You know, when we talk about what men do to face this world, you know, we go out and we face the unknown and this and that, and really, you know, with the certain circumstances excluded, most of us are only ever facing the bullshit that people have to give us, the modern trivalities of life. These men went out and they faced life or death for real. And not only did they face life or death, they did it without knowing if they'd ever come back home to raise their families, see their children grow up, hug and kiss their wives, or enjoy the things that men who do their jobs are afforded in this world. So because of that, right, because of that sacrifice that these men willingly and unwillingly made for us, we owe them all the appreciation and respect due. Happy Strong Dad June. Much love, y'all.
Another powerful message. Let's give love and thanks to the men that have come before us. Great message, Strong Dad. Great message. I stand by it. Really solid message. I need the rest of y'all to take heed. All right? Take heed. Wise words from the brother. With that being said, let's head to the Men of Order moment of the day. Men of Order moment of the day. I don't remember what it was. Oh, here we go. This is funny. Byron Donalds. Some people pulled this clip up. Sonny said this is how they view us. This is how they view the modern Negro. If you look at this clip here, who is that? Is that... That's not Ted Cruz. I don't know who that is. But chat, I just have a question for you, because maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm looking more into this than what's really there. But usually when you pat somebody on the back of the head like that, like this here, usually it's a young boy. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but usually it's a young boy. Am I right or wrong in that assumption? It's sort of like when you do this, you're sunning them. You're sunning somebody. Am I wrong? Good boy, right? It's like a good boy thing. You do this to your dog, right? Or your son. Am I wrong in that, chat? Or am I looking too much into this? What the fuck? Chipotle got some other shit going on. They didn't load it up today. Yeah. Strong Dad said, don't ever put your hand on the back of another man's head. He said, true, but it's also part of jock culture. That's true. I thought about that. But this is Congress. Right? So, I guess that carries over. The optics on this are terrible, though. The optics are terrible. Do not ever pat me on the back of my fucking head unless I hit a jump shot, all right? If I ain't hit a jump shot, do not pat me on the back of my fucking head. We're going to have to throw hands, all right? And I don't care how well you're trained. I'm going to kick your ass. Just jokes. Just jokes. Now, Byron Donalds is under fire for comparing then and now, the Jim Crow era. So, I thought it looked weird. Whose is this? Here. It say V on it. So they carried this clip here. Let's take a look at the clip and let's see if they edited it. Because that's what Byron Donalds is claiming.
You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America, you see.
So that's a clip that the Democrats put up. And here's the full clip.
I grew up with my mom. My dad and my mom, things didn't work out. As an adult, I look at my father and I say, bro, I don't know what happened, but you my father and I love you.
Wow.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't there.
Wow.
But I'm gonna tell you this, growing up, the one thing I knew I wanted to do, and this is not about my father, this is about what I wanted to do, is I wanted to be a father to myself.
Wow.
And so one of the things that's actually happening in our culture, which you're now starting to see in our politics, is the reinvigoration of black families with younger black men and black women. And that is also helping to breed the revival of a black middle class in America. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America the last 10 years, and I say it because it's my contemporaries, it's Wesley's contemporaries, you're starting to see more black people be married in homes, raising kids. It's when you home with your wife raising your kids, and then you look at the world, you're saying, now wait a minute, time out. This does not look right. How can I get something to my kids? It goes back to the conversation of generational wealth. Not just having a job, generational wealth. I'm looking at my kids. How can my kids be on my shoulders when they take off in life? That's what's happening.
I don't see nothing wrong with what he said. It was all factual. But it was construed as, I should say misconstrued as, him saying, black people were better off during Jim Crow than they are now. Hold on a second. But it's wording the bridge. We spoke about this yesterday. Like I said, we got to move on. We got to move quickly through these topics because I want to get to the big brain shit. We got an update on Corey Harris. Now, Corey Harris was the brother who showed up to court with a suspended driver's license for a suspended driver's license case. Then it come to find out that was a mistake. And now there's a part 3 of this saga.
Let me make it very clear, based upon what the court looked at, he has never had a Michigan license, ever. And has never had a license in the other 49 states and commonwealths that form up this great union. He has never had a license.
But how do we go forward? And that's why I'm here, to sort of minimize, you okay? Can he did get into an accident. May he sit down? May he please, Your Honor?
Clear. Part of the reason I'm also doing this is because I think he was warned and released, didn't take care of it. And secondly, this has been out there for 9 years.
You see the brother right here? He got that news. He's like, man, I'm about to have an episode. There's some good acting.
Oh, this a real hotel.
It's some good acting. He like, hold up, my cancer flaring up.
Take care of it. Secondly, this has been out there for 9 years.
Well, I did not know about it, Your Honor. Okay.
Counsel, there is not a doubt in my mind that that's true. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We'll see you in August.
Okay, thank you.
Is remanded on the Allen Park warrant. So you go in the mail.
He got his cane. He not doing good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, I'm not into respectability politics, but, if your life on the line, you got to dress up better than that in court. So that's the update on Corey Harris. As this story evolves, I'll keep updating you. Somebody in the chat said, leave this man alone. Hey, listen, man, it's the news. We got to deal with it. Anyway, time for everybody's favorite segment, Grifter of the Day. All right, Grifter of the Day. Like I said, we're going to run through this stuff so we can get to the big brain portion of this podcast. So I want to run through all of these stories in under 15 minutes so we can talk about Israel, Palestine, and tell you guys why I don't talk about the subject matter. So remember the old head Black Panther Party that endorsed Trump? Well, his grandson came around and Nerd is saying he got the call.
So, hey, my name is Eric Jones, and this is my grandfather.
David Hilliard.
All right. And my grandfather, David, is clearing up some of the air that Miss Carol Mitchell may have kind of stirred while she's misrepresenting some of his views on Donald Trump and these 34 guilty verdict accounts. So anything that he spoke with her about Donald Trump was about in 1960, in which Donald Trump assisted the Black Panther Party. You can tell the story a little better than me.
Donald Trump was our realtor as such, and most of the properties that we lived in Harlem belonged to Donald Trump, and that's how our relationship came into existence.
And that is purely speaking in terms of the past. That is not a nod of support to any of today's political climate and with Donald Trump or with any other candidate.
That's correct. There's one person that's in New York. His name is Doug McHenry. He knows Trump. As a matter of fact, I think he introduced Trump to the Black Panther Party. His name is Doug McHenry.
Okay. And again, this is not a nod of support to any political affiliate on either side. This is purely
Is he scared? It's intimidation? What's going on here?
Historical based upon Donald Trump. What
They got niggas shook. You can't even say you like Donald Trump. Niggas is still shook. Y'all still scared to say that shit? Some of us was never scared.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
None of this was necessary. None of this was necessary. We didn't need no clarification. We knew he was talking about back in the day. It was clear as day. He was talking about back in the day, and I guess the lady tried to contort it to her own agenda. But anyway, Trump's VP list of candidates for VP hit the net allegedly. According to the inside paper, we got Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Elise Stefanik, Ben Carson, Doug Burgum, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance. My pick is Doug. That's my pick. I think we should pick Doug. Doug Burgum should be the pick. Everybody else is pretty much a DEI pick. The top of the list is all DEI. Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Elise, Ben Carson. It's all DEI shit. You know, if they get picked, it's a DEI pick. Okay. And it looks like Vivek did not make the cut. Looks according to this source, it looks like Vivek did not make the cut. And this was something that we were talking about before. When I saw Vivek pop up with his podcast, I'm like, oh, okay, so he must not be the VP pick if he done started up a podcast. So he's out. Unfortunately, I thought we were gonna get some entertaining debates, but instead we're gonna get some milquetoast boring bullshit. But it's probably for the best. Anyway, moving on. 50 Cent says, wait, guys, I took pictures with everyone, and all you seem to care about is Lauren. What did she do in a dark theater that hasn't been done? My God. Hey, I don't have chlamydia, by the way. I'm telling you, he gonna end up rocking her world. He gonna end up rocking with Lauren's world. But this is the typical left. They send their bot army after you. Their Chinese bot army or whatever it is. You know, it's just an army of accounts that attack you for having a different opinion. It's not anybody who's real or anything like that. Because like he said, 50 took pictures with Democrats and Republicans. So everybody's going to contort it to their own political agenda, and that's to be expected. However, we do have a clip here, a soundbite of 50 talking about Trump. Let's take a look.
Have you made a decision?
I haven't.
What do you think is a...
Have you made a decision? He said, I haven't. Smart. See, he's got a smart team around him.
Thank you.
What do you see as the significance of African American men in this election? Thank you, everybody. For both of you.
I see them identifying with Trump.
Why do you say that?
Because they got RICO charges.
So 50 says it. He says because Trump is going to jail, brothers can identify with it. So 50 said it too. All right. Can't say he's wrong. So the 50 saga continues. 50 on Capitol Hill saga continues. We got some interesting Grift news that has hit the timeline. Tim Pool says we invited Laura Loomer and Nick Fuentes on the culture war to debate Trump and policy. Nick declined. Chat, why do you think Nick declined? I mean, I know why Nick declined. Chat, can you tell me, let's see if the chat, pop quiz, do you know why Nick declined this debate? While I eat some of my Chipotle. You know why Nick Fuentes declined the debate? Because the fix is in? No. Fed, no. Jews, no. Nick said he declined because she wanted to be on the evening show, not the morning one. Oh, he wanted to be on the evening show, not the morning one. Okay. Is that what he said? Oh, the evening show isn't about debate, so it's not the right format. Although I would adjust it for that if I were Tim. I believe it would be good. Goldstein said it's because him and Laura work for the same team. Uh-oh, here we go. Because his boss said no? I thought it was because it was going to get messy. Right? I think she was going to bring up the screenshots and text messages. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. With Ali Alexander touching on little boys and shit like that. I think that's why he declined. Because it was going to get messy and tarnish his image, and it would become a personal debate as opposed to a Palestine-Israel debate. That's just my guess. Anyway, that saga continues. And another saga continues. The woke right. Now the woke right are complaining about a 2018 clip. It says white people crying was the goal. Amanda Stenberg, lead actress for the new Star Wars series, The Acolyte. Okay. So here's the clip. Let's play the clip and let's see if there's anything to cry about here.
When people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal. It was the goal.
Well, people.
So, woke right, controlled opposition, and wokeness gets community noted. It says here, this interview is from 2018 covering the Hate You Give, a film about police brutality within minority communities. So what she said is banter, but you don't need to create a film to make black people cry about their own problems. They're already crying about their own problems. And I think what she's trying to say is the goal of the film was to garner sympathy from the Germans, from the whites, from the Caucasians, from the Yamnaya tribe, from the Corded Ware tribe, right? The European. That's really what she was saying, and she said it in a joking way, and here we are, woke right, with their panties in a bunch. Ghosty said, what was her last name again? She's half Jewish. She's half black and half Jewish, just like Diana Ross's daughter. Yep. And Jordan Peele. Mandela Stenberg. Yeah. Yeah, she's a cutie pie. She's adorable. She is absolutely adorable. I can't look at her in a sexual way because I was introduced to her as a child actor, and I just can't unsee her being a little girl. It's just, I don't know. She's just a little girl to me. So no matter how old she gets, she's just going to be adorable, you know? But again, here we are. And this is what, this is what you call incitation, right? And inciting people, trying to, because they're going to say, or what could be misconstrued here is that this clip is about the Star Wars film, et cetera, et cetera. But wokeness is operating off of straight up Fed territory, man. This account is toxic as shit for white folks. And it's basically just a operative designed to sow dissension and division between the races and incite white folks to act stupid. That's really what it comes down to. It's a honeypot. Next up, now here is the true grifter of the day. Take a look at this shit.
Right. She's not only accused of faking her membership with the Delta sorority, but some of her colleagues here at the State House also told me the representative is lying about being a veteran and an OBGYN. Now Representative Angela Moore is addressing those accusations.
For Deltas who were upset about the story at first, do you have any reaction for them?
I'm so sorry that we had to take you through.
Somebody in the chat said that they didn't know that was an old clip, but that's what they do. Like when these racial division accounts, the way they operate is when there's nothing new, they go find something old and drudge up something old and try to make it new. So that's why you got to be careful. You got to do all your fact checking with these accounts.
Through this.
An apology from State Representative Angela Moore to the women of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
This is not something that I wanted to go on.
Representative Moore sat down with me in an exclusive interview this week. She's accused of faking her membership with the Delta sorority. Moore says she pledged under her former married name, but then after she got divorced, she changed her name to distance herself from her ex-husband. She says that's why her current name doesn't match the Delta membership records.
I refuse to tell what my former married name was.
But last Saturday, a Delta representative told me a thorough investigation was conducted. And, quote, we can confirm that Miss Angela Moore is not and has not ever been a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But then there are the other allegations.
So let's talk about the veteran issue.
Moore is accused of telling people she is a veteran and an OBGYN.
I am a family veteran. My family is, all of my family are veterans. I worked in OBGYN.
So you're not an OBGYN?
No, I'm not.
But you work for an OBGYN?
No, I worked in the field of OBGYN medicine.
And finally, there's this piece of video.
State of Georgia.
It was shot from the House floor, and it appears to show Representative Moore involved in a shoving match with another House member. Moore told me that member hit her ankle.
I jumped, screamed, and I took my arm and pushed her back.
Do you believe any of these allegations in any way hinder you serving the people of District 91?
Absolutely not. Whether I'm a Greek or whether I'm a physician or whether I'm military has anything to do with me coming here to the Georgia State Capitol and conducting the people's business.
Now, Representative Moore told me.
Talk about grifters. 3 grifts. OBGYN. They said, you said you were a veteran. Yeah, I'm a veteran in my family. What? Boule on boule crime? Yeah. Absolutely insane. Next up, we're getting closer and closer to the big brain segment. Super dap of the day. We're getting closer and closer. Remember everybody told you, they said, hey, we got to support Ukraine. Oh, yeah? Here we have graphic footage, which I'm not going to play. It says Ukrainians execute 4 black men and say, you should have stayed in Africa. You should have stayed in Africa. It's what Ukrainian soldiers are doing. They're targeting. Now, I don't know how real it is. I haven't done my fact checks. Fair warning. So go behind me, do my fact checks. Okay. This could be an op. It might not be real, but it sounds about Ukraine. It sounds about Ukraine. Anyway, let's go to the super dap of the day. Super Dap Dap of the day brought to you by Super Dap Assist Coin Project. Go follow Super Dap on all social media sites at Super Dap AI. Leader in SocialFi. If you join the Telegram link in the description box below, you can learn a lot more about it and join our investing group. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. It's just a Telegram group. So we got some good news out of Louisiana. Louisiana is getting something right. It says here, thank you, Louisiana, for supporting informed consent and medical freedom. The state has now prohibited any form of discrimination against students who remain as they were created without injections of numerous liability-free pharma products. This law is a model for every state. No teacher, school employee, or administrator shall distinguish between students based on whether a student has or has not received vaccinations from the schedule provided for in this section. Call your state senator, send them a copy of what's going down in Louisiana, because there's no reason why they should be turning away services to families because you decided not to take some experiment which could jeopardize your health, right? Next up, I'm going to take a trip down memory lane. We had a wonderful trip down memory lane yesterday. It's not one of those, but yesterday, if you guys missed yesterday's stream, that shit was hilarious. Let's take a look.
Me being real, President Obama was not the first black president.
Oh, why'd they nerf the audio?
He had one parent who was what?
They nerfed the audio.
Who was almost
The 10 African American presidents. They were supposed to talk about this. They nerfed the audio. Never mind. We'll go to the next story. You see how they do? You see how they do? You see how they do? You drop that real information, they just nerf the audio. I told you Jack was the man. Bring back Jack. Let's take a listen.
This is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I think the free speech debate is a complete distraction right now.
Facts.
I think the real debate should be about free will. And we feel it right now because we are being programmed. We're being programmed based on what we say we're interested in. And we are told through these discovery mechanisms what is interesting. And as we engage and interact with this content, the algorithm continues to build more and more of this bias. But the algorithm, even if it's open source, is effectively a black box. You cannot predict 100% of the time how it's going to work, what it's going to show you. And it can be moved and changed at any time. And because people become so dependent upon it, it's actually changing and impacting the agency we have, the free agency we have. And I think the only answer to this is not to work harder at open source in algorithms or making them more explainable about what they're doing and why they're doing it, but to give people choice. Give people choice of what algorithm they want to use from a party that they trust. Give people choice to build their own algorithm that they can plug in on top of these networks and see what they want, and they can shift them out as well. And give people choice to have really a marketplace around an algorithm that you can choose.
The algorithms are trash. They are terrible. X's algorithm leaves a lot to be desired. Everybody's moved to the Meta /Facebook /Zuckerberg algorithm of suggested content, and the For You tab is horrendous. I mean, I saw a really cool iPhone wallpaper, so I clicked on it, and now I wake up and I check my feed and it's full of iPhone wallpapers, and it's just like, bro, I didn't need this many updates on iPhone wallpapers. Like, what are we doing with the algorithm here? Like, seriously, what's going on? So, the other thing I liked about what he said is the free will, right? So now I'm inundated with iPhone wallpapers, but what if it's some other type of content and I'm being inundated with that type of content that could start to shift who I am and it starts to take away from the free will. So I think he's onto something there. I would love to dive in deeper, but unfortunately, we got to talk about the Jews. Saw this post here today from Christopher F. Rufo. He says, exclusive. The Teachers Union in Portland, Oregon has created a curriculum that teaches kindergartners that Jewish people are settler, colonial, it says oppressors, prepares. Now the thing is, it says settler, colonial, and Christopher Rufo inserts the word oppressors, okay? Prepares them to attend protests and celebrates Palestinian martyrs, right? So here's the resource pamphlet, right? And I got no dog in the fight. I don't give a fuck one way or another, and I'm gonna show you why I don't give a fuck one way or another in just a moment here. But here's the pamphlet, right? And Christopher Rufo, he's one of those breaking news grifters. He's a division. He's an artist of division. And when you look at this thing here, I scoured this document, and it doesn't say the word oppressor anywhere on this screen. He inserted that himself. So what does it say? It says settler colonialism. This guide refers to the following definition of settler colonialism adapted from Visualizing Palestine. Settler colonialism is a distinct type of colonialism that functions through the replacement of indigenous populations with a settler society that, over time, develops its own distinctive, dominating identity. The Zionist settler colonization of Palestine has been widely compared to settler colonialism in the United States, Canada, Australia, South Africa, and elsewhere, says Zionism. Zionism is a settler colonial political ideology and movement that emerged in Europe at the end of the 19th century with the aim of establishing a Jewish state in Palestine at a time when over 90% of the population was not Jewish. Palestinian Jews existed in Palestine prior to Zionist colonialization and lived peacefully alongside Palestinian Christians and Muslims. Today, the term Zionism describes a spectrum of political ideologies that have in common the support for the continued existence of the present-day state of Israel as a Jewish ethno-state. Okay? And this is something different. There's some workbook stuff here. But basically what I want to tackle, and I don't know if you should be teaching this to kindergartners, you know, maybe not. I mean, if you're teaching slavery to kindergartners, you might as well teach them this shit. If you're teaching civil rights and oppression, you might as well teach them this shit. In the kindergarten, the students learn anti-Zionist history. In one lesson, it describes Zionist Jews as land thieves who wanted to create a country where rules were mostly fair for Jewish people with white skin. This, the student learned, is the evil of settler colonialism. It says right here, 75 years ago, a lot of decision makers around the world decided to take away Palestinian land to make a country called Israel. Israel would be a country where rules were mostly fair for Jewish people with white skin. Do you know about any unfair rules anywhere else? So what we want to do today is we want to definitively prove that these leftists are in fact correct, right? We're going to prove that Zionism is settler colonialism. Okay? So now we're about to get big brain. Are y'all ready? Okay. First things first, let's open this up. Let's go here, 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 and here. Okay, cool. So what I have in front of you right now, actually, let me just make sure you can read this along, okay? Now, I don't know how long this is going to last because I don't know what I'm going to say, but here we go. So the document I'm reading from is called Palestine Royal Commission Report, presented by the Secretary of State for the Colonies to Parliament by command of His Majesty, July 1937. So we're going primary sources. I'm not looking at CNN, Fox News, New York Times of today. Going primary sources based upon what the British said. What did the British say was happening in their report? Continues, it says, London, printed and published by His Majesty's Stationery Office. Okay? Now, you'll see here in the table of context, contents. Part 1, the problem. Chapter 1, the historical background, Jews in Palestine, Arabs in Palestine, diaspora, Zionism, etc., etc. So without further ado, let's dive into what I've uncovered in this report. Okay. Everybody with me so far? Let me check on the chat. All right, let's take a look. It's got a map here. So if we look at the map, we see the map, right? Got Damascus here, Jerusalem, Gaza, Jerusalem, right? And it says here, pre-war Turkish administrative districts comprised in Syria and Palestine, okay? So if you notice from this map, there is no Israel on this map, okay? But that's neither here nor there. Let's continue. All right, here we go, our first highlight. So it says here, number 19, page 24, chapter 2. The fact that the Balfour Declaration was issued in 1917 in order to enlist Jewish support for the Allies. I'm going to read that again. This is why this might take a while, because this shit is deep, okay? The fact that the Balfour Declaration was issued in 1917 in order to enlist Jewish support for the Allies. So they didn't do this because they cared about Jews and Jews were oppressed. It says right here, the Balfour Declaration was created to get Jewish support for the Allies. Okay? And the fact that the support was forthcoming are not sufficiently appreciated in Palestine. It says here, the Arabs do not appear to realize in the first place that the present position of the Arab world as a whole is mainly due to the great sacrifices made by the Allied and associated powers in the war. And secondly, that insofar as the Balfour Declaration helped to bring about the Allies' victory, it helped to bring about the emancipation of all Arab countries from Turkish rule. Let's continue. Number 20, it says we must now consider. Actually, let me finish reading that paragraph because this is sort of important. If the Turks and their German allies had won the war, it is probable that all Arab countries except Palestine would now have become or be about to become independent states. Okay? That's what the British Mandate says. Now let's continue. Says number 20 here. Hold on. I want to make sure you see it how I see it. Okay, good. We must now consider what the Balfour Declaration meant. We have been permitted to examine the records which bear upon the question, and it is clear to us that the words, the establishment in Palestine of a national home, were the outcome of a compromise between those ministers who contemplated the ultimate establishment of a Jewish state and those who did not. It is obvious in any case that His Majesty's government could not commit itself to the establishment of a Jewish state. Could not commit itself to the establishment of a Jewish state. So the question we're asking here, are they is it settler colonialism? It's a question we're going to answer, okay? According to the British Mandate. It could only undertake to facilitate the growth of a home. It would depend mainly on the zeal and enterprise of the Jews. I'm sorry, hold on. I want to read the chat and this at the same time. Of the Jews, whether the home would grow big enough to become a state. Okay? It would depend mainly on the zeal an enterprise of the Jews whether the home would grow big enough to become a state. Okay? Mr. Lloyd George, who was prime minister at the time, informed us in evidence that, and this is what Mr. Lloyd George says here, says the idea was, and this was the interpretation put upon it at the time, that a Jewish state was not to be set up immediately by the peace treaty without reference to the wishes of the majority of the inhabitants. Okay? On the other hand, it was contemplated that when the time arrived for according representative institutions to Palestine, if the Jews had meanwhile responded to the opportunity afforded to them by the idea of a national home and had become a definitive majority of the inhabitants, then Palestine would thus become a Jewish commonwealth. So far, does this sound like settler colonialism to you? Yes or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Number 21, it says, thus, His Majesty's government evidently realized that a Jewish state might, in course of time, be established, but it was not in a position to say that this would happen, still less to bring about its own motion. The Zionist leaders, for their part, recognized that an ultimate Jewish state was not precluded by the terms of the declaration, and so it was understood elsewhere. It says here, I am persuaded, this is President Woodrow Wilson here, okay? President Woodrow Wilson on the 3rd March, he says, I am persuaded that the Allied nations, with the fullest concurrence of our own government and people, are agreed that in Palestine shall be laid the foundations of a Jewish commonwealth. Now, I'm going to stop right there to make a point. And this is why I tell people, I say, when people try to decouple Israel from America, I'm like, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. We helped create it. You've got to accept it as a child of ours in many ways, a little brother, a little sister, however you want to look at it. President Woodrow Wilson, and we're going to get into this more. Okay. So let's finish here. Jewish immigration. What's immigration now? Remember we talked about immigration? Jewish immigration into Palestine, because that's what colonialism is. That's what settling is. It's immigration. Jewish immigration into Palestine, and in generations to come, a great Jewish state rising there once more. Okay? So this is General Smuts. One hell of a name. It says General Smuts, who had been a member of the Imperial War Cabinet when the declaration was published, speaking at Johannesburg on November 3rd, 1919, foretold an increasing stream of Jewish immigration into Palestine and, in generations to come, a great Jewish state rising there once more. So he's predicting, he's saying, yo, the way they immigrating in this area, it's probably going to be a Jewish state. Okay? Lord Robert Cecil Moore in 1917, Sir Herbert Samuel in 1919, and Mr. Winston Churchill in 1920 spoke or wrote in terms that could only mean that they contemplated the eventual establishment of a Jewish state. Okay? Now, all these men are what? Lord Robert Cecil, Sir Herbert Samuel, Winston Churchill. Are these men Jews? Are they of the state of Palestine? Are they of the state of the United States? These are British men. Britain created Israel. Britain created the United States of America. Britain is the head of Western civilization. Okay? It is the head of Western civilization. The crown, the royal family. And they were the ones talking about how do we establish a Jewish state. Okay, we can get into motives and stuff later. Let's continue. 22. It remains to describe the reaction of the Balfour Declaration on Arab Opinion. So what did the Arabs say? It says most of the Arab parts of the Turkish Empire, including Iraq, Syria, and Palestine, were in British military occupation when fighting with the Turks was ended by the armistice on the 30th of October 1918, and the Arabs had been encouraged to hope that victory would mean full realization of their independence. Already in the previous January, one of the 14 points laid down by President Wilson as the basis of peace. This is President Wilson, he's the United States of America right here. And one which the Allied powers had accepted without reservation included the following words. It says here, the Turkish portions of the present Ottoman Empire should be assured a secure sovereignty, but the other nationalities, which are now under Turkish rule, should be assured an undoubted security of life and an absolutely unmolested opportunity of autonomous development. Okay? So it sounds all good, right? Let's continue. Says here, since the Arabs had always regarded Palestine as included in Syria, so if you're wondering why we're having problems in Syria, this should start to bring things into focus. This announcement seemed to promise all they wanted, right? And their disappointment was the greater when they learned that the victorious powers proposed not only to separate Palestine from Syria, but to place it under a special form of government in order to implement the policy of the Balfour Declaration. So under Arab opinion, Palestine is a part of Syria. The British come in and go, nah, Syria is Syria and Palestine's Palestine. And for people having a hard time understanding this, just like New Jersey is a part of the United States of America, Palestine can be a part of Syria, okay? So it says, by Sharif Hussein and his son, the Emir Faisal, which we're going to hear more about later, who had led the Arabs out of the Hijaz in the war, this policy was regarded as a breach of the McMahon Pledge, the only compact of which they had hitherto known. And even if they had interpreted the pledge as meaning that Palestine would not be independent but reserved for French or British or international control, they could not have foreseen that such control might cover the establishment of a Jewish national home. So the British are saying, yeah, I don't think the Arabs know what's going on. I don't think they know what's going on. Okay? Jabari said, Syria Palestina is what the Romans renamed Yisrael.
This a real Hotep, brother.
Okay, let's continue. So and then that goes back to what I was saying before, that Western civilization is just a continuation of Rome. But that's another story for another day. Now here we have number 25. When, therefore, the Emir Faisal came to London and Paris, he was persuaded not merely to accept, but to welcome the policy of the Balfour Declaration. So he comes to London and they're like, yo, let's sell this fool on the Balfour Declaration. He says at his camp east of the Jordan in the previous summer, he had met Dr. Chaim Weizmann, who had done great service by his chemical discoveries to the Allied cause in the war and had taken a leading part in the Zionist movement and the discussion of the Balfour Declaration. He had been able to convince the Emir of the benefits which the Jewish national home would bring to Palestine as a whole. And a memorandum which the Emir presented at the Paris conference was highly conciliatory. So let's read what the Emir says about his meeting and the Balfour Declaration and basically the Jewish question, right? Now listen here. This is the crux of why I don't get involved in this conversation, okay? He says, the Arab Emir says, in Palestine, the enormous majority of people are Arabs. The Jews are very close to the Arabs in blood. and there is no conflict of character between the two races. So you want me to have an opinion over family beef? And I keep telling you, this is family beef. They cousins. And when I say it, some of y'all think I just be making this shit up or it's biblical. Nigga, he just said it. We are very close in blood. These the same motherfucking people. These are the same people. If you took a Jew and you took a Palestinian, matter of fact, take 100 of them, put them in a line, and you tell me which one's the Jew and which one's the Palestine.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
You tell me which one's the Jew and which one's the Palestinian. You can't tell the difference. They got the same phenotype. These the same fucking people. And you want me, a black man, to care about this shit? Y'all must have lost your fucking mind. Let's continue. He says, nevertheless, the Arabs cannot risk assuming the responsibility of holding level the scales in the clash of races and religions that have, in this one province, so often involved the world in difficulties. They would wish for the effective superposition of a great trustee, so long as a representative local administration commended itself by actively promoting the material prosperity of the country, not of Arabs, not of Jews, of the country. They don't allow blood tests in Israel. Is that true? I'm not getting into family disputes. Exactly. So let's continue. It says, still weightier evidence of good understanding was the agreement which was signed on the 3rd January 1919 by the Emir Faisal, representing and acting on behalf of the Arab Kingdom of Hejaz, and Dr. Weizmann, representing and acting on behalf of the Zionist organization. So we got the Arab king, or the Emir, and the Zionist head. It pledged the parties to cordial cooperation between the Arab state and Palestine. It don't say Israel. It don't say Jews. It say the Arab state and Palestine. So now today, some people will tell you there's no such thing as Palestine. It's removed from the map, but the British mandate says otherwise. But you know, who am I to read something that is a primary source? To the acceptance of the Balfour Declaration and to the large scale and their rapid settlement on the land, the Emir added a note of reservation to this agreement to the effect that its execution was dependent on the fulfillment of the claims for Arab independence, which he submitted to the peace conference. So he's basically saying, if y'all don't stick to y'all word, nigga, I'm strapping a bomb to my chest.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Okay, that's basically what he's saying. He says, if changes are made, I cannot be answerable for failing to carry out this agreement. Okay. Okay. 26. The Emir Faisal, in concluding this agreement in his father's name, was not, it is true, directly representing the Arabs of Palestine, but the Arabs, as has just been pointed out, regarded Syria as one country. And in Syria, the Emir's leadership had been accepted. Okay? So Britain's not recognizing Palestine as part of Syria, but the Arabs are saying, no, Palestine's a part of Syria, and we're talking about Palestine. The Brits are saying, yo, da-da-da-da-da. You can't see the presentation well? Oh, wait, what happened? Why did it? See, they playing games. They playing games. I'm sorry, y'all. Let's come back. If his hopes indeed had been fulfilled, the development of the situation in Palestine might have been far more peaceful than it has been. Now, I want to stop right here and explain why I love this document as a source. Because it's supposed to be a biased source. It should be biased against the Arabs because they are taking the sides of the Zionists. They are operating on behalf of the Zionists and the British Empire. So it's a biased source. So the fact that it should be biased against Arabs and it's still telling you what the Arabs thought lets you know this has to be the truth. Okay? Jabari said they do plenty of blood tests in Israel. What are y'all talking about? Jabari, get the chat right. Get them right. Let's go to the next section. So this is where you get British chicanery. It says Lord Balfour did not mention Syria. At the time of his speech, the chance of an agreed settlement based on the cooperation of King Hussein and Emir Faisal was being nullified by the policy of the French government. So now you got the French coming in and saying, we got some other shit going on, which had never been bound by the McMahon Pledge and was vehemently opposed to the establishment of an Arab state under the Emir Faisal's control of Damascus. The Emir, for his part, backed by strong popular feeling in Syria, had determined to resist the claims of France. In March 1920, he had been proclaimed king of Syria and Palestine by a Congress of Syrian nobles. So again, the Arabs are saying, Palestine is a part of Syria and I'm the king of Syria. Britain's like, we kicked Turkish ass. We kicked your previous oppressor out. So we're going to call the shots. And I'm not here to judge that statement. I'm just here to tell you what happened. Okay, let's go to the next part. The Treaty of Versailles and the Covenant were signed on the 28th of June, 1919, but progress in settling the affairs of Palestine was checked, partly by the opposition of influential non-Zionist Jews in England and France to the policy of the Balfour Declaration, but mainly by international complications and especially the obstacle created by the events in Syria to ease cooperation between the French and British governments. Okay? So you had non-Zionist Jews like, yo, what the fuck is this shit? Let's continue. One vital point, however, was settled, namely, who was to be the mandatory, right? Who's going to run it? Is it going to be the French? Is it going to be the British? Who's going to run it, right? We know how that story goes. We know how that story ends. The fourth paragraph of Article 22 of the Covenant prescribed that for certain communities formerly belonging to the Turkish Empire, the wishes of these communities must be a principal consideration in the selection of a mandatory. This is where America hops in the picture. And President Wilson pressed for the dispatch of an inter-allied commission to Syria and Palestine to discover the wishes of their peoples. So America's like, yo, we got to send somebody over there to see what the fuck is going on. Says this project failing, he sent an unofficial American commission, which toured both countries in June and July 1919 and privately reported that the Arabs wanted complete independence for united Syria and Palestine. But if supervision were necessary, their first choice was the United States. Now, I don't know if we can trust that report. It's fucking Woodrow Wilson, but that's what they said. Their second was Great Britain. The Zionists had made their wishes known at an earlier stage. On the 18th of October, 1918, the American Jewish Congress had adopted a resolution asking for the trusteeship of Great Britain. The American Jewish Congress adopted a resolution. Do y'all understand Western civilization, or do y'all just like want to pretend history doesn't exist? I just want to know. I just want to know. Like, do y'all want to deal in fact, or are you just going to be mad at me because I'm telling you what the British mandate says, what the British report says? Okay, let's continue. And the same request was made in the scheme submitted by the Zionist organization to the Supreme Council on the 3rd of February 1919. It says here, the selection of Great Britain as the mandatory is urged on the ground that this is the wish of the Jews of the world. Of the world. The Jews of the world. And that's why I say you cannot be one of these people that talk shit about Jews. You cannot be one of those people. Because what you have is you have a small cabal of motherfuckers. I'm gonna show you those small cabal of motherfuckers in this report in a second that make decisions for Jews. And as you can see, there were non-Zionist Jews who opposed the Balfour Declaration. I just showed you that in this mandate. So you cannot do the whole Jew thing. You're gonna get completely awry if you do that. You have to be specific, and I'm going to show you the specific names you have to target if you want to talk about the gangsterism in that crew. It says, and the League of Nations, which is now the UN, in selecting a mandatory will follow, as far as possible, the popular wish of the people concerned. Okay? Now let's go to the next one. 34. I got a lot of notes here, so y'all better just get comfortable. Nearly 2 years elapsed after the signature of the Treaty of Sèvres, before the draft of the Palestine Mandate was submitted to the Council of the League. This time, the delay was largely due to the intervention of the United States government. This time delay was largely due to the intervention of the United States government. So the U.S. is integral to the establishment of this state. In a note of the 20th February 1920, it claimed that the participation of the United States in the war entitled it to be consulted as to the terms of the mandates. So we had the war, right? And America was part of that war. So they like, yo, because we helped y'all fucking destroy the Ottoman Empire and the Turks, nigga, you're going to have to consider our word. And I'm not saying they shouldn't. That's just what happened. It says the British government at once agreed. The draft of the Palestine Mandate, together with those of the other British mandates, was submitted to the United States government. And at its request, certain minor alterations were made in it. The main point under discussion was economic. They like, nigga, I'm about my money. I am about my money. We need to make some alterations to this document to make sure I get my money. Says here, whereas with regard to all other mandates, the United States government insisted on the application of the principle of equal economic opportunity for all state members of the League. And the United States, it waived its claim with regard to Palestine in recognition of its special situation and the interest of the Jewish national home. So they basically saying, look, we want in on this, but we understand that the Jewish Congress wants Palestine. So you're starting to see how the United States is positioning themselves. It says it waived its claim with regard to Palestine in recognition of its special situation and the interests of the Jewish national home. So they knew right then and there what was about to happen in that region. Okay? I'm going to read this next part. Favoring the establishment in Palestine of a national home for Jewish people, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled that the United States of America favors the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of Christian and all other non-Jewish communities in Palestine, and that their holy places and religious buildings and sites in Palestine shall be adequately protected. Okay? I don't have to explain that. Let's go to the next one. 37 says, meanwhile, on the 24th of July, 1922, the draft mandate for Palestine had been confirmed by the Council of the League. Between that event and the issue of the Balfour Declaration, nearly 5 years has passed. And in the long interval, one aspect of the question, somewhat neglected at the outset, had come to the front. The Balfour Declaration had recognized that the establishment of a Jewish national home must not prejudice the rights of the existing population of Palestine. But little seems to have been known at that time about the size and character of that population. The declaration spoke only of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, a phrase which suggested that there were a number of groups such as Muslim Arabs, Christian Arabs, Armenians, and other lesser communities which were more or less on the same footing. By 1922, however, it was clear that the paramount community in Palestine was the Arab community, over 500,000 in number, and all Arab in speech and Arab in their national aspirations. It was clear also, as will be seen, that the leaders of this community were vehemently opposed to the Zionist policy and could incite the rank and file of their people to murderous attacks upon the Jews. That's what the report said. That's what the report said. Like, yo, y'all could do all this shit, but you're going to put Jews in harm's way. In February 1922, a delegation of Arab leaders informed the Colonial Office that the people of Palestine could not accept the Balfour Declaration or the mandate and demanded their national independence.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
So another one of these things that Zionists will say is, oh, we came to the table and they agreed. They agreed. They agreed. And this is like, I don't know about that. I think there's more nuance to that. And this is 1922. Okay? The state of Israel has not been established yet. We're going to go into how it got established in just a moment. So here we have Winston Churchill published in 1922 a statement of British policy in Palestine. It included the following interpretation of the Balfour Declaration. It says, so far as the Jewish population of Palestine is concerned, it appears that some among them are apprehensive that His Majesty's government may depart from the policy embodied in the Declaration of 1917. The Jewish population in Palestine at this time had said, what? I don't think they're going to stick to what the declaration says. So the Jews didn't even believe it. According to Winston Churchill. According to Winston Churchill. Okay. So far as the Jewish, wait. It is necessary, therefore, once more to affirm that these fears are unfounded, and that declaration, reaffirmed by the Conference of the Principal Allied Powers at San Remo, and again in the Treaty of Sèvres, is not susceptible of change. Tyler B., thank you for the super tardy fee. Happy Hotep Thursday. Keep educating, HJ. Thank you.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
So let's read what Winston Churchill said. He says, during the last 2 or 3 generations, the Jews have recreated in Palestine a community now numbering 80,000, of whom about 1/4 are farmers or workers upon the land. Let's skip down here. It says, this community then, with its town and country population, its political, religious, social organizations, its own language, its own customs, its own life, has in fact national characteristics. National characteristics. When it is asked, what is meant by the development of a Jewish national home in Palestine, it may be answered that it is not the imposition of Jewish nationality upon the inhabitants of Palestine as a whole. As a whole. This is Winston Churchill. Said we are not trying to establish a Jewish state. This is not about nationality. That's what he said in 1922. Liar. Says, but the further development of the existing Jewish community with the assistance of Jews in other parts of the world, the assistance of Jews in other parts of the world, there was a huge conservative effort. Salute, HJ, you forgot to wear the IDF jersey. Shout out to Hotep Daxter. Salute. In order that it may become a center in which Jewish people as a whole may take on the grounds of religion and race and interest and a pride. But in order that this community should have the best prospect of free development and provide a full opportunity for the Jewish people to display its capacities, it is essential that it should know that it is in Palestine as of a right and not on sufferance. It's a right, not a sufferance. That is the reason why it is necessary for the existence of a Jewish national home in Palestine should be internationally guaranteed, and it should be formally recognized to rest upon ancient historic connection. This, then, is the interpretation which His Majesty's government placed upon the declaration in 1917, and so understood the Secretary of State is of the opinion that it does not contain or imply anything which need cause alarm to the Arab population of Palestine or the disappointment to the Jews. Okay, let's continue. 39, it says the definition of a national home has sometimes been taken to preclude the establishment of a Jewish state. But through the phraseology was clearly intended conciliate, as far as it might be. Arab antagonism to the national home, there is nothing in it to prohibit the ultimate establishment of a Jewish state, and Mr. Churchill himself has told us in evidence that no such prohibition was intended. So it doesn't say that it's going to be a national state, and also doesn't say that it's not going to be a national state. This is the chicanery that happens in these documents. Okay. This view was naturally shared by the Zionist organization, whose executive, after examining the statement of policy, declared that the activities of the Zionist organization will be conducted in conformity with the policy therein set forth. So the Zionists are like, yo, it don't say we can't set up a Jewish state, and it don't say that we can. So we're going to do what the fuck we want. One reason why no public allusion to a state was made in 1922 was the same reason why no such allusion had been made in 1917. The national home was still no more than an experiment. Some 16,000 Jews had entered Palestine in 1920 and 1921. The Arab population was about 600,000. It would be a very long time, it seemed, before the Jews had become a majority in the country. Indeed, as late as 1926, a leading Zionist stated that there was still little prospect of the Arabs being overtaken in a numerical sense within a measurable time. Within a measurable time. Now, if you go to page 34, you will see the British mandate, and I'm only going to take out a few parts. Article 4 of the British mandate says, an appropriate Jewish agency shall be recognized as a public body for the purpose of advising and cooperating with the administration of Palestine in such economic, social, and other matters as may affect the establishment of the Jewish national home in the interest of the Jewish population of Palestine, and subject always to the control of the administration, aka Britain, to assist and take part in development of the country. So they're saying we're going to set up a body, a public body, in cooperation with the state of Palestine. Article 7, it says, the administration of Palestine shall be responsible for enacting a nationality law. There shall be included in this law provisions framed so as to facilitate the acquisition of Palestinian citizenship by Jews who came to take up their permanent residence in Palestine. So it doesn't say Jewish state. It says the Jews will have a path to Palestinian citizenship. This ain't Nick Fuentes. This ain't Stu Peters. This ain't Jake Shields. This ain't Hotep Jesus. This is the crown. We're about 2/3 of the way done. Therein lay the justification for combining the general obligations of the mandate with the specific obligations of the Palestine mandate. The recognition of Jewish rights was thereby linked with the recognition of Arab rights. Jews were admitted to be in Palestine by right. The little Jewish minority was to be helped to grow by immigration. Settler colonialism. We're going to show you colonialism in a second. We're showing you settler right now. to facilitate the establishment of a Jewish national home was a binding international obligation on the mandatory. Now, when they say international, they're really just talking about Europe. It's just Europe. Okay. The mandate also imposed specific obligations towards the Arabs. Their civil and religious rights and their position as affected by immigration and land settlement were not to be prejudiced. But the acceptance of these specific and negative obligations towards the Arabs did not, of course, release the mandatory from the general and positive obligations implicit in the first recital of the preamble and in the first paragraph of Article 22 of the covenant. If Arab claims in Palestine were subject to the rights of others, so were Jewish claims. Okay? So this is what you call equality. Number 50, it says, it is clear then that the policy of the Balfour Declaration was subjected to the operation of the mandate system in 1919 in the belief that the obligations thereby undertaken towards the Arabs and the Jews respectively would not conflict. And this belief was still held when the draft mandate was confirmed by the Council of the League in 1922. Already by then, the Arab leaders had displayed hostility to the mandate and all it involved. So you see resistance from the Arab people, the Arab leaders. They're like, yo, no, none of this shit makes sense, right? But it was thought that this hostility would presently weaken and die. It was like, oh, it'll go away. Fast forward 100 years later, and look where we are. Mr. Churchill spoke of his statement of policy as a basis on which he believed that a spirit of cooperation might be built up, and the ground of this belief in the compatibility of the obligations were no less clear. It was assumed that the establishment of the national home would mean an increase of prosperity for all of Palestine. It was an essential part of the Zionist mission to revivify the country, to repair by Jewish labor, skill, and capital the damage it had suffered from centuries of neglect. Now that's colonialism, creating a colony. Arabs would benefit therefrom as well as Jews. They would find the country they had known so long as poor and backward, rapidly acquiring the material blessings of Western civilization. Western material blessings of Western civilization. That's why I say, if you're pro-American, you gotta be pro-Israel. You gotta be pro-Britain. It's all one fucking gang, you dumbass. You don't want to believe it? That's fine. But it's the fucking truth. You're suffering from jingoism. That's what the problem is. On that account, it was assumed that Arab fears and prejudices would gradually be overcome. It must have been obvious from the outset that a very awkward situation would arise if that assumption should prove false. It would evidently make the operation of the mandate at every point more difficult, and it would greatly complicate the question of its termination. To foster Jewish immigration in the hope that it might ultimately lead to the creation of a Jewish majority and the establishment of a Jewish state with the consent or at least acquiesce of the Arabs was one thing. It was quite another thing to contemplate, however, remotely, the forcible conversion of Palestine into a Jewish state against the will of Arabs. Okay? For that would clearly violate the spirit and intention of the mandate system. It would mean that national self-determination had been withheld when the Arabs were a majority in Palestine and only conceded when the Jews were a majority. It would mean that Arabs had been denied the opportunity of standing by themselves, that they had, in fact, after an interval of conflict, been bartered about from Turkish sovereignty to Jewish sovereignty, from Turkish rule to Jewish rule. These were their fears. If you fast forward, well, they were right. It is true that in the light of history, Jewish rule over Palestine could not be regarded as foreign rule in the same sense as Turkish. But the international recognition of the right of Jews to return to the homeland did not involve recognition of the right of Jews to govern the Arab in it against their will. So these fears were already there. They were already there. Okay? The case stated by Lord Milner against an Arab control of Palestine applies equally to a Jewish control. Chapter 3, Palestine from 1920 to 1936. I wish I could read this whole chapter to y'all, but I'm not. Let's go right here. There was a small executive council of officials and an advisory council consisting, pay attention, y'all, this is where it gets juicy, besides the High Commissioner, of 10 officials and 10 nominated non-officials, of whom 4 were Muslim Arabs, 3 were Christian Arabs, and 3 were Druze, a distribution which gave the minority communities more than their due representation, since the population as estimated in 1922 was 589,000 for Muslims, 83,000 for Jews, 71,000 for Christians. So they decided to set up a council to help govern this area of Palestine. And the Arabs, the majority, get 4 seats, the Jews get 3, and the Christians get 3. What does that tell you? It tells you that the West has a majority. 3 plus 3 is 6, which outnumbers the 4 of the Arabs. Now, do you think the Arabs accepted this? No, of course not. It was like, it was some bullshit. So, Allahu Akbar.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Says here. Oh, that's why. All right. So right here. It says here, the senior officials, both in the central departments and in the districts, were British, mostly ex-officers of the army who had served under the military regime. From the first, the junior posts were filled by Palestinians, Arab and Jew. The police were Palestinian with British officers. Okay? So the British were in charge. But a special British, how do you say this word again? Jamandari? Jamandari? Yeah, I think it's Jamandari. Jedamari. Yeah, Jedamari. Numbering originally 762, were enlisted in 1922, mostly from Ireland. Okay, so we're dealing with European imposition. Chapter 3, page 50. The Jewish national home is only one side of the picture, and in the course of 1925, the other side of it was illuminated by a significant incident. For the Jews, the coming of Lord Balfour to Palestine and his opening of the Hebrew University were the happiest of omens. To the Arabs, they were anathema, and they celebrated George Balfour's visit by maintaining an effective general strike. So here you say you're not setting up a Jewish state, but now Britain sets up a university. Not a university for Palestine where Christians, Jews, and Arabs can attend, but a Hebrew university. So when I'm reading this report, to me, this is one of the first signs of creating a Jewish state. Anybody knows anything about creating a country, establishing a university, education center is paramount. If you ever played SimCity, you know you got to start educating your people at some point. So you have the immigration and you set up a university just for the Jews. Meanwhile, you're supposed to be bipartisan, right? So what they do, they were like, yo, we going on strike, yo. What the fuck is this? Where's our university, right? In fact, the Arab opposition to the policy implicit in the national home had lost nothing of its force. In the early years, indeed, it had been marked by the first 2 years of violent outbreaks which were to recur at intervals up to 1936. It's about to get juicy. Hold on. Despite the presence of a substantial number of British troops in the country, a serious outbreak of rioting and looting occurred in April 1920 in Jerusalem. Savage attacks were made by Arabs on Jews, and firm action of the troops was required to restore order. And it names how many Jews were killed, blah, blah, blah. One, on the investigation, it said the Arabs' disappointment at the non-fulfillment of the promises of the independence which they believed to have been given to them in war. Two, Arabs' belief that the Balfour Declaration implied denial of the right of self-determination, and their fear that the establishment of a national home would mean a great increase of Jewish immigration and would lead to their economic and political subjugation to the Jews. Did y'all hear that? Three. Well, let's just recap really fast. So they're mad at the mandate. They're like, yo, you're not sticking to what the mandate is. This is some bullshit. This is not what we, you said you're going to invest in Palestine, but you're investing in the Jews. Like, this is not fair. All right? And they're worried about immigration. I got to ask you, chat, who else is concerned with immigration right now? So you're telling me these Palestinians are wrong because they're seeing immigrants coming to their country, but here we are in the United States and we're complaining about immigrants coming to our country? History rhymes, but history don't rhyme, but it repeats. Number three, the aggravation of those sentiments, on the one hand, by propaganda from the outside Palestine associated with the proclamation of the Emir Faisal as king of a reunited Syria, and with the growth of a pan-Arab and pan-Muslim ideas, and with the growth of pan-Arab and ideas, and on the other hand, by activities of the Zionist Commission, supported by the resources and influence of Jews in the world at large. It was pointed out that Jewish immigration before the war had not unduly alarmed Arabs, and that there were some among them who recognized the economic value of the country as a reasonable number of Jewish residents. But as an influential Arab remarked at the time, who that wants salt empties the whole cellar into his plate. Let's go down to the next highlight. This is section 18, page 51. It says, the fundamental cause of the Jaffa riots and the subsequent acts of violence, wrote the commissioners, was a feeling among the Arabs of discontent with and hostility to the Jews due to political and economic causes and connected with Jewish immigration, and with their conception of Zionist policy as derived from Jewish exponents. In reply to the Jewish arguments that Arab antagonism was directed more against British rule than against Zionism. In reply to the Jewish arguments that Arab antagonism was directed more against British rule than Zionism, and had been artificially stimulated among uneducated mass of the Arab population by the Effendi, discontented with the loss of profitable privileges they had enjoyed under Turkish regime, the commissioners declared. So the people of Palestine are saying, we lived better under the Turks. Life was better under the Turks. This is the same thing that happened in Russia. The serfs were mad at the Bolsheviks. Like, yo, it was more food under the Tsar than it is under y'all bumbling idiots. This is what they said. These are not my words. I'm reading from the British Report. They were mad at the Brits more than the Jews. So this concept of anti-Semitism and all that shit is about the fact that my ribs is touching. The Arabs were aware that this prospect was definitely emphasized not only by Zionists of the extremist kind, like Mr. Jabotinsky, but more responsible representatives of Zionism, such as Dr. Elder, the acting chairman of the Zionist Commission. And in pursuit of the Zionists, and in pursuit of it, the Zionists, through the commission and otherwise, exerted so the Arabs believed an undue influence over the administration. Jewish immigration, moreover, was regarded by Arabs as a cause of Arab unemployment. Unemployment. The object of the modern Jewish pioneer in Palestine. It was said in a volume issued by the promoters of the Jewish Foundation Fund, is to prepare room and work for the thousands and millions that wait outside. Is that colonialism, chat? Is that settler colonialism? That's my only argument. People are saying it's not settler colonialism. I'm not here to debate right or wrong. I'm not here to debate morality. I just want to set the record straight. You can't say it's not settler colonialism when the British report says it's settler colonialism. The Jewish Foundation Fund is quoted as saying to prepare room and work for the thousands and millions that wait outside. Millions? Says here, finally, the Arabs had observed with dislike and disquiet the attitude and behavior of many among the younger immigrants. It was natural enough that young Jews escaped from the miseries and dangers of Eastern Europe. All right, so let's go to the next highlight. This is a situation in 1925, section 24, page 54. The first communication addressed to the Secretary of State for the colonies, Mr. Churchill, by the delegation which the executive sent to London at the beginning of 1922. All right, so this is going to London. It says, whilst the population in Palestine is, as it stands today, with the British government holding authority by an occupying force and using that authority to impose upon the people against their wishes a great immigration of alien Jews, many of them a Bolshevik revolutionary type.
I wish all the black people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the white people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the Hispanics were as smart as Hotep Jesus. Because that guy, he really gets it. He knows how to boil it down.
Many of them of a Bolshevik revolutionary type. No constitution which would fall short of giving the people of Palestine full control of their own affairs could be acceptable. Okay. Let me make sure y'all can see this. Okay, good. If the British government would revise their present policy in Palestine and the Zionist condominium. What do they mean by Zionist condominium? Put a stop to all alien immigration. Put a stop to all alien immigration. Build a wall and grant the people of Palestine, who by right and experience are the best judges of what is good and bad for their country. How many times have you heard that before? Executive and legislative powers. The terms of a constitution could be discussed in a different atmosphere. If today the people of Palestine assented to any constitution which fell short of giving them full control of their own affairs, they would be in the position of agreeing to an instrument of government which might and probably would be used to smother their national life under a flood of alien immigration. Chat, what is the biggest concern of the Arabs at this time? Immigration. What did he have a problem with the left saying? Settler colonialism. And I sat here and showed y'all settler colonialism. Page 56, chapter 3. And their reaction to this crux was logical. They repudiated the Balfour Declaration. They protested against its implementation in the draft mandate. The people of Palestine, they said, cannot accept the creation of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. and they refuse to cooperate in any form of government other than a national government responsible to the Palestinian people.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Again, you'll have some Zionists pop up today and say, oh, you know, they agreed to this and then they broke the agreement. And it's just like, I'm reading a report and there's nowhere in here where they're like, yo, this shit is cool. I don't want to talk about Yasser Arafat and all these new guys. I want to go back to the genesis of the argument. And the genesis of this argument says they didn't agree to none of this shit. And they resisted the entire way. And I don't care about the Palestinian people. The only thing I care about is the fucking truth. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Just don't lie. 29, 2 years later, the position was the same. The only hope of progress lay in the emergence of a moderate Arab party. So now they're trying to set up a party, a political party for the Arabs. But the history of nationalist movements in all parts of the world goes to show that in a struggle for national independence, it is always easier for the extremist than for the moderate to secure the allegiance of his people. Okay? That's a bar right there. That's a bar right there. The extremists are always going to have the allegiance. Okay? And the reason is plain. The mainspring of nationalism and revolt is the desire of people not merely for freedom, but for that equal status with other self-governing people, which freedom implies. And if freedom can be, equality cannot be a matter of degree. Let's go down. Paragraph 30 or section 30. What we mean when we say that the problem extends beyond Palestine is that it involves not only Arabs and the Jews in the country, but also the Arabs and the Jews outside of it. The situation in Palestine, therefore, has never been stable. Has never been stable. So you got all these people running around doing podcasts and all this shit and interviews about Israel and Palestine. And I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit. This is why I don't talk about this subject matter. Because nobody's being truthful about this shit. It's never been stable. October 7th is just another event in a long string of events of turmoil in that region caused by the British and the French. Let's be clear. Not Jews, although they had a part in it. At least the council did. The situation in Palestine, therefore, has never been stable. On the one hand, the Zionist movement, supported as time passed by a growing body of world Jewry, was unceasingly and insistently pressing to get more Jews into the country. So now we got to go back. We got to go back really fast. What does it say here? Settler colonialism. They are not wrong. I don't fuck with the left, but they're not wrong. And I didn't see nothing about oppressors. But if you had to ask me, looks like oppression to me.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Let's go back. Let's go back. The world, it says, on one hand, the Zionist movement, supported as time passed by a growing body, this is the governing body of world Jewry, right? Was unceasingly and insistently pressing to get more and more Jews into the country. Why would they want to do that? It's a rhetorical question. Says here, so that moderate Arab nationalists were not confronted merely with a certain number of Jews in Palestine at a certain time. They were bound to look abroad and ahead and to contemplate, however reassuring the 1922 statement of policy might seem to be, at best, a steadily continued, at worst, a largely increased inflow of Jews, which would drastically alter the existing balance between the races. Page 62, chapter 3, section 38. The situation at the end of the first 5 years of the civil administration has been described at some length because it is important to make it clear that the situation, as we ourselves found it 11 years later, is not a different situation brought about by new or temporary factors in Palestine or outside it. It is the old situation intensified. It is the old situation intensified. Most of what has happened since 1925 has been a repetition on a steadily increasing scale of gravity of what happened before 1925. The present difficulties of the problem of Palestine were all inherent in it from the beginning. Time has not altered. It has only strengthened them.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Now, what am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? That's the British report. This is the report from the British themselves. They're admitting this. They are admitting this in 1925. That it's never been cool. There's never been peace. They've been wilding from the very beginning. We stepped our foot over here and meddled in their business. All right. Now we're going to jump to the last part, and then we'll be done. And we're going to open up phone lines. Text Hotep your name at 202-596-5631. Text Hotep your name at 202-596-5631. I don't know what the next highlights is. I think it's like page 286 or something like that. Yeah, it's like page 200 something. And then I'm going to show y'all, wait, hold on, what's this? Oh, okay. I'll leave this up to you. I'll leave that homework to y'all because they describe the Jewish agency. Okay, here we go. I didn't want to skip this. All right. Okay, so the next point of contention is, as you can see here, financial and fiscal questions, right? So we talked about the immigration. Now let's talk about the shmoney. Okay. Says right here, though the Arabs control a substantial number of factories, the bulk of new industries established in recent years are Jewish, as we have already indicated. So there is factories that were there before, but the new factories are all Jewish, right? According to the British. 16, page 212, chapter 8. But the most singular feature in the economy of Palestine is the vast amount of capital which had been invested in the country, for which no remittances abroad for interest and sinking fund are required. This feature sharply differentiates the Jewish national home from other communities which have been created by a process of colonization and are burdened by charges on the capital obtained from overseas for their development. So it says, the dangerous position of Jews in Europe and the enthusiasm for settlement in Palestine have brought a plentiful supply of capital, which has been invested in the country. Apart from this sum invested by private enterprise, so you have 63 million euros. Is that euros or pounds? I think that's pounds. Invested by private enterprise, some 14 million pounds subscribed by Jews in their national funds has been devoted to the draining of swamps and the reclamation of land, the training of immigrants and industrial development, From the financial point of view, the position is so fortunate that the question asked whether this state of things is stable or permanent. It may be argued that even a check to immigration or the reduction of the number of newcomers with capital or slackening of interest in the Zionist movement might only cause some readjustment to the economic equilibrium and probably call out for capital investment some of the large deposits in Palestine banks. The very large adverse trade balance would be reduced and the yield of the, so they're talking about how they would fix, because there's a trade imbalance that's happening at this time because all this, everything's flooding in. The point I wanted to make is they say it's not colonialism, but we have private enterprise bringing in $63 million and Jewish interests amounting of $14 million. Okay? I don't think I have to explain that. You guys get where I'm going with that. Number 17, it says, the Arabs complain that as most of the recently protected industries are Jewish concerns and employ Jewish workmen, the increased cost of commodities must fall on the Arabs who form the mass of the rural population. This is basic economics, right? All of this money is flowing in, all of these products are flowing in, and now they're dealing with something called inflation. And they're like, yo, hold up. We ain't getting the jobs. We ain't getting no support. We ain't getting no investment. And the cost of commodities is going up, which is making it very hard for us to live. Right? I think that was the last highlight. Wait, wasn't there one on like page 286 or something like that? Hold on. Oh, let me show you this. So here's a chart. Ah, shit. All right, here we go. This chart is showing you population projections, forecast of future population trends. And as you can see here, the trend line of the Jewish population and their increase. Everybody see that? All right. So when we were talking about this Palestine conflict, I didn't go listen to no YouTube video or some podcast or some grifter online. I said, nah, what's the most primary source that's going to give me insight into what's, yeah, that was the last one. What's the source that's going to give me the most insight? And I want primary. I want to hear from the people at the time, and I want a biased opinion so I can suss out what the truth is. Give me the bias report. Give me the report that was supposed to be for the people, that was supposed to be for the Jews. Give me that report. And I'll read from that, and I will destroy your arguments with the bias report from the British themselves. Right? Worst thing they could have did was teach a nigga how to read. Okay? Hold on one second. Let's take a look. So, whoops. Oh, actually, let me just change the source on this. So I asked Google, I said, what's the difference in these populations? Who's got a larger population now? Israel or Palestine?
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Is the Palestinian population sitting at about 5 million? And the Jewish population sitting at about almost close to, let's call it 9.5 million. Immigration. So, when the leftists say as you see here, settler colonialism, I'm like, well, it's kind of true. It says right here, the Zionist settler colonization of Palestine had been widely compared to settler colonialism in the United States, Canada, Australia, South Africa, and elsewhere. Yeah, it looks the fucking same to me. It looks the same to me. Zionism is a settler, colonial, political ideology and movement that emerged in Europe at the end of the 19th century with the aim of establishing a Jewish state in Palestine at a time when over 90% of the population was not Jewish. That's not wrong. Now, I don't know if you should be giving this. First of all, I doubt you're giving this to 4 and 5 year olds. Like seriously, there's no way you're giving this type of material to 4 and 5 year olds. It says the Teachers Union in Portland has created a curriculum that teaches kindergartners that Jewish people are colonizers. They don't even understand this. That doesn't even make sense. This might be a K through 12 school, and they include it in their curriculum, but you cannot teach these big words to these little ass kids. It's just not possible. They have to all be like savants. They'd have to be like ridiculously high IQ to understand what the fuck the teacher is talking about. The motherfuckers is learning how to identify letters, bro. They can't read cat and hat and mat, and you're talking about they're teaching them this. So it just sounds like just fake news to me from Christopher Rufo. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, let's go to phone lines. Text Hotep your name to 202-596-5631. Hotep your name 202-596-5631. I'm gonna hang out for a little bit and then get ready for the show tonight with Uncle Hotep. And I'll be right back after the short, brief commercial message.
Welcome to the 4th annual Grifties and the first ever live Grifty Awards. And now for your hosts, Uncle Hotep and Hotep Jesus.
Yo, no George, but I can't even breathe in this joint.
That's fucked up. He working on that Coon of the Year award.
Black people, am I right? We've got some great categories tonight, including athletes.
We'll say what's up to your dad.
Season's COVID-19.
Who did you want? Hamlin? Hamlin's a sleeper. Hamlin's a sleeper.
Female, musical, celebrity, people's political grifty, the Hall of Fame, and a surprise category.
Y'all see we professional. We got the teleprompter and shit. And of course, the one everyone is waiting for, Grifter of the Year award.
From podcasts to movies.
DJ Protocol.
Yeah, DJ, that's the time to do it.
This is not a grift. I really think Lil Nas X is a gay demon.
How dare you?
Unlike most modern award shows, none of these women have penises.
Women shouldn't speak anyways.
Y'all picked the blackest room for a black. Paint the walls white so I can see y'all next time.
All coons look alike to me.
Some of you white people too. Some of y'all look like you came from 8 Mile.
We're halfway through. No one's been shot yet.
But I gotta say, at the Grifty Awards, there's only one person more arrogant, more self-assured than me, and that's Hotep Jesus.
Grifter of the Year.
Clap it up for old Uncle Hotep.
Hopefully my kids will watch this and be inspired and stuff like that.
Fuck them kids.
I'm looking for my wallet. I'm like, oh, thank God he didn't take it. Thank God.
Taylor, what up, man?
Happy Thursday, Hotep Thursday.
Happy Hotep Thursday.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And it might need a little bit of context. So I caught the tail end of Sunny's space right before the Grift Report, hopped into the Grift Report with you. And she was saying something that when you use leftist terms against them, that's always a losing strategy with the Byron Donalds thing. And I know it's a tired point to say, oh, the left are the real racists and blah, 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 blah. That messaging doesn't work with, most people. It works for right-wingers, but it doesn't work for centrists and left-wingers, black folks, blah, 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 long laundry list of people. So I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, I'm a red-white trying not to be a red woke. I said that before, I'll say it again. And what's the right approach to messaging? Because I think the conservative Republicans, especially the Republican Party under Donald Trump, has a lot to offer the black community, but our messaging sucks. And I wanted to break that down into 4 categories of people. Category of just a layman, white person that's not typically around black people, whether they live in Montana or Idaho, whether it's a layman that is around black people trying to show up and get activists. And then the same goes for the politician, the Idaho politician or the LA politician. How do we fix our messaging? How do we tell them the good things about the conservative party without getting caught in the same leftist traps we're always getting caught in and getting labeled, appropriately red woke?
Federally or locally?
Probably locally. I mean, we're talking about. I mean, you have to knock on doors.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? And this isn't tailored towards black people, but it works on black people because black people are people. So in sales, right? Little gem here. When you want to sell somebody something, you sell them what they want.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
You sell them what they want, right? Not what they need, what they want. Right? Cool.
Yep.
How do you find that out? Well, a good sales call is a questionnaire. It shouldn't feel like it's being read off a paper. It should feel like natural flow of conversation. But you really have to ask them a lot of questions. Then take that and wrap that in messaging. The issue is you want to take what you want and sell it to other people. And that's breaking the rule of sales because people only want to buy what they want. They don't want to buy what you want. They want to buy what they want. So you need to ask black people, what do you want? And open up that floor and that conversation. And if you listen to black people, they tell you what they want. They don't want to be fucking harassed by the police. They want some motherfucking freedom. They want some motherfucking guns. And they want some motherfucking money. They sound like Americans to me.
And that sounds like what I want, but you're not wrong. It's exactly what I want. But we both want a car. I want mine.
Yo, Taylor. One time I was with my grandma. She had came up from Jamaica, and she wanted to go to the store. So I took her to the store. I'm probably like 17 at this time. Just got my license. And I said, Grandma, watch this. Because I noticed I was being followed by a police officer. But the officer was following me on a parallel street, right? So my dad's military, so my eyes I'm always aware of what's going on. So I said, Grandma, watch this. So I pulled up there are parallel streets. You drive and you can look down, you can see the person on the other street, right? You look to the right and you see the cop, right? So I said, watch this, Grandma. She saw the cop. Then I went to the next one and I stopped. And then he stopped. And then I kept going. And she was like, wow, they really just follow you around? I'm like, yo, when they see that you're black, I think we seen him leaving the store. Because I think he was parked at the 7-Eleven right along with me. But I was like, yo, when they see that you black, they fuck with you. They just follow you just because you black. And that's because a lot of racist people have infiltrated the police force. You know what I mean? And that's where that element exists, right? You saw that happen with the Irish when the Irish took over the fire department and the Italians took over the fire department. People started getting smart and started becoming elements of the government. And that's what happens. So you get these racist elements in the police department. that have a license to follow you around. And that's why people be trying to say, like, yo, how do we do police reform so I'm not being fucked with? You know what I'm saying? And what happens
100%.
is you have like white people will never know what it's like to be black. I don't care what the fuck you went through. Hollywood, Rockefeller education system has taken our subconscious mind and like contorted it and just really just, for lack of a better term, fucked it up. Just fucked our subconscious mind up with this white man concept and the white man this and the white man that, you know, the whole racial thing. But mostly because they are like, you're a victim, you're a slave, right? So when you take that, right, and you put us in a police stop, we already fucking nervous as shit.
That comes out, yeah.
We nervous as like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Nigga, when to this day, when a cop come behind me, I'm fucking nervous. I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. Why? Cause I've been harassed so fucking much. One time I had an officer plant evidence on me. We caught him, he laughed and pulled it back. This is what we was going through, yo. This is what we was going through. So when you say how to sell, I'm like, just listen to what we saying. We tell you what the problems is. Get the fucking police under control. Get Biden out of office, and let's get some money.
Well, okay. So going federally, then let's talk a little bit federally. In that same vein, I have a struggle answering for the white people in New York because I'm not a New Yorker. I've never been a New Yorker.
Oh, they're the worst.
I'll tell you a quick story that I thought was really funny with Hotep with it. He posted something on Facebook or Twitter about how this is what Jesus actually looks like, and he's a Middle Eastern dude. And I was like, yeah, doesn't everyone know that? Like Jesus would have come from Israel. He would have looked like a Middle Eastern dude. And he's like, that's not what most white people think. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, that's not what I've never known someone that didn't think he was a Middle Eastern dude. And then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you're from the East Coast. I'm from the West Coast.
Wait, hold up. Do you have any images of Jesus in your church?
Actually, no, not in both of our churches, both the church in Southern California I attended and in Idaho. Actually, no.
That's good. That's a good thing, because churches that have his image up portray him as Caesar Borgia.
Yeah, and I understand the portraying. I mean, the Catholic Church actually
the universal concept of God is a white man.
Well, and ironically, the Catholic Church has always had a plan to depict Jesus as the population that the church is in. So if your church is in Italy, Jesus is Italian. If he's in Africa, Jesus is African. If he's in Asia, Jesus is Asian.
Okay.
That's the Catholic Church's plan, because Jesus represents man, and he represents you. So if you're looking at him, look at him like you would see yourself.
Right.
So that's the Catholic Church's plan, which I totally understand. His ethnicity is irrelevant to the fact that he's God come down as man. But the point that I was going with there is that when Hotep with it was talking about white people, and I'm a white person, he's not talking about me. I'm not talking. We don't see the same white people because we're on the other sides of the country.
Yeah.
My side of the country has a whole different
perspective.
Relationship with black people. Not to say that it isn't racist, but they tell it to your face on the East Coast, and they never would tell it to your face on the West Coast. That was the difference. I think it was Thomas Sowell said it was Larry Elder said that his dad said when he was on the East Coast, he would apply for a job, and they said, we don't hire black people. And on the West Coast, he'd apply for the job, and they'd say, we don't have a position available right now. Same result, different.
Yeah.
Same result, different words. But the ideas are different, the people are different. And so I guess the whole point of my original question was I don't want to answer for those white folks, but I also don't live in New York to convince, people that conservatism is a better way or republicanism is a better way.
But it's not though. It's not. That don't even make no sense. Conservatism is a better way. Republicanism is a better way. That's not true. That's not true. That's something we can argue.
Donald Trump is a better way.
I mean, that's not. Again, that's not. You're trying to sell them what you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Black people don't give a fuck about no republicanism. What's the other thing you said? All them isms and schisms. We don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You not speaking my language right now. That shit sound like Mzungu tribe shit. That shit sounds like fucking propaganda. You know me. I'm a theocratic dictator, and all of the lords of Hotepistan will govern their land. This is what I believe is better, right? So if you would have came to my door and would have told me, Republicanism is better, we got to argue now. Like, better than what? Like, if we going to make a jump, let's make a jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But first, find out what the fuck it is I want. And that's the issue.
And you're right.
And that's the issue with white folks, right? White folks think they way is the best way. And they be trying to tell niggas, hey, think like me. And I'm like, nigga, you sound crazy right now. You sound crazy right now. You can't tell me what's best for me, and I can't tell you what's best for you. I know fruits and vegetables is better for my body. I know that the cow is better for your body, right? So we all need different things. Each individual needs different things. Everybody's gonna, but when you talk about what, your messaging, you can't come around and saying, yo, republicanism is better. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Tell me, yo, if you vote for this guy, he gonna lower your taxes and you're gonna earn an extra $15,000 per year. Oh, I'm in.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I can see it in my own argument that what I'm trying to say is I want to keep my guns, I want to keep my money, and I don't want people effing with me. And this is the way that I found that's less likely to happen. Do you like that too?
Yes. But again, it comes back to sales. You got to know your audience. That's why I'm able to sell reparations to anybody. I can sell water to a well. Why can I sell reparations to people? Because I know what the fuck they care about. Oh, red whites, you don't like reparations? What if the Democrats got to pay? Yay, reparations, right? Like, it's like, oh, so you're not against reparations. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just about knowing people and knowing your audience. And once you know the audience, you sell them what they want. And and the problem with white folks is they coming around trying to sell black people what white people want. Black people don't want republicanism. Black people don't want what's the other thing you said? Conservatism. We already fucking conservative. Why are you gonna sell me some shit I already got? Hey, I know you got a brand new bed, but I got this other bread, but it's not as good. Nigga, my conservatism is better than white conservatism.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
This is how we think, right? Like, so again, you like the sales tactic is off, and it has nothing to do with race. It's just your sales tax is off. This transcends race. Like, the way you think right now is how a startup founder thinks. A startup founder wants to sell his users the next new feature that he wants. Meanwhile, they're like, can you just make the Twitter Spaces not drop my audio? Right? You see what I'm saying? So this isn't about, white people, black people. This is about human psychology. And people always want to force the way that they think on other people and wonder why they don't want it. Because it's like, you can't tell me what's best for me. Now, some 100%. People will attribute that ignorance to, oh, this is how white people are. And I'm like, nah, try to be a startup founder. You really learn about yourself and human psychology. You know what I'm saying? People are like that. I've worked with a couple, and this lady was like, yo, I got this new feature idea. And I'm like, I'm looking at the comments, and we have 10 comments right here, and they're all requesting the same thing. Maybe we should do this one. It's actually a really quick fix now that I think about it. And she's like, no, let's do this thing. And it's like, because you want that? Like, or you worried about the users? In business, it's about what is your audience wants. You got to give what the audience wants. And that's how you create a better product, right? So if you're talking about how to sell to black people, what do they want? Listen to the reviews. Check the reviews. There's a whole lot of reviews black people got on the country of America. Read them. Start from the top.
Last question, but I'll leave it quick. What would be your one-sentence pitch for if you were in charge of the Republican Party to outreach to the middle, the disaffected middle? Not necessarily black folks, but black folks are a large part of that right now.
What would I do to get the middle?
Yeah.
I would do what Chase Oliver did to the Mises Caucus in the Libertarian Party. I will make a backroom deal with the Libertarian Party and make them support my next candidate, which is what happened.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
What did they do? They went and they got Trump at the Libertarian Party, right? At the Libertarian Convention. That would be like one of my first things is just go after the third party. Just take their votes, right? Like that's step one. To get the moderates, here's the problem with moderates. And this is another thing that comes back to startups. You're getting them to change their habits, right? So like we sell supplements. So we sell supplements to people who already take supplements. I'm not trying to sell you on why you should take supplements. If you don't think you should take supplements, you're not my demographic, right? So going after moderates is like you're going after somebody who really doesn't have the habit of voting or giving a fuck, really, right? So those are what you call like intelligent buyers, intellectual buyers. And those buyers are much harder to get. And the only way you're going to get them is to win their trust. And you got to win their trust by being genuine and by being real. And that's something that Republicans are not capable of.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Fair, very fair. Yep.
It's also easy. Does nobody want to put in the work?
I mean, that's the tough part I'm struggling with. Sonny convicts me all the time to go put in the work to communicate to people, but I moved to Idaho for a reason so that
you didn't have to communicate with people.
I didn't have to communicate with people.
That's gangster. That's
so
gangster.
I have this mixed feeling of like I fled because I couldn't do it, but at the same time I'm trying to do it.
I mean, I would say leave black outreach to black people.
Fair point.
You know, put your effort behind the black voices, right? You know, put the effort behind the black voices. You know, that's what I would do. It's like, again, coming back to startup founder, right? Like, I'm not in the gaming community, so it's just like if I want the gaming community to vote for me, then I should probably get somebody that they trust, right? So I go get, you know, whoever the top gamer is or whatever, right? And then now because he's working with me, I got access to the gaming community. You know what I'm saying? So that's just big. Again, all this shit is startup sales and marketing, yo. All this shit is just business. If you're good at business, you could be good at politics.
Yep.
No.
All right. Well, I'll let you get to the next callers then. But I appreciate your time, and Hotep and Bill. See you tonight.
All right, Hotep and Bill. See you tonight, bro. Let's get Rudy in here. What's the chat saying? Stuart says, start by telling the truth. Like, word. Andre, great stream today as always. Jonah gonna take 30-minute airtime on this one. Man, listen. Man, listen. Jabari said, according to my research about Israel in the 1800s, the land was mostly swamps. Yeah, we saw that in the report. I'm glad you brought that up because that's good additional, that's complementary to, what I just saw in the British report. The land was mostly swamps. Now the land is mostly desert. So how did the weather patterns change that much in 200 years? Oh my God. Oh, Lord. I'm gonna have to turn the show off after that one. We might as well just leave and go home. Everybody, that's it. Show's over. Damn.
Call from
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy the Vet, what is up, man?
What's going on, brother?
What's
Happy
that?
Hotep Thursday. Made it to another one. Excited for tonight. Illmatic is the greatest rap album ever. Wu-Tang forever. In, out, bing, bang, bong. Excellent presentation. Shit goes to show you that it's a shit show from day one, and it's always going to be a shit show. And everybody needs to look up the Five Eyes, because that's what we're involved. We're not the United States anymore. We're the Five Eyes. Canada, Great Britain, United States, Australia, and New Zealand. And they used the Five Eyes. They used they used Great Britain and Australia to set up Trump on the Russian collusion shit because they're allowed to spy on him, because that's the way they subvert the fucking Constitution.
Right.
Was sign a spying deal with all these former, the Crown, like you always say, the Crown. They signed a spying with the Crown so the Australians can spy on the Americans, and it's all legitimate because the American government can't do it. So everybody look up the Five Eyes. But it's been a shit show since day one, man. Goddamn United, from the League of Nations, which we never joined, and they had to get us in it, so they reformed it and called it the UN. Man, this one world government shit is whack. But man, that was really informative. I love when you dig deep dives like that, my brother. Hotep and Bill, man.
Hotep and Bill.
Chat, man. Can't wait till this evening, brother.
Yo. Shout out to Rudy. Yo, I had that one on tuck. I did that research that week, October 7th. October 7th happened, and I was like, I went and did the research. I made all my highlights, and I put the shit away. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what I thought happened. Because sometimes I'll read some shit up until the point where it's just like, I just need my theory solidified with some like real hardcore facts. So when I pulled that report, matter of fact, I asked my audience on Twitter. I said, what's the best thing I should read to understand the conflict? And somebody sent me that link. I forget who that is. Shout out to you. But somebody sent me that link, okay, to the British report. And I had a whole bunch of things there. But when I saw it was a British report, I was like, this is the one I want to read. I want to read this one right here. And I opened that shit up for the same reasons why I told you I picked that shit as a source before. Because I want to hear from a biased source at that time. Primary. Because I know we still going to have information leak. And you can't refute it because it's biased information towards your bias. Because it was Britain that helped establish Israel as a Palestinian state. Israel, United States. That is the child of America and Britain.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
This is why I tell people, if you do your history, you'll understand why I think the way I do. I'm not coming up to these fucking conclusions because these is theories. You cannot be American and anti-Israel. Y'all created that shit. That's your baby. How you gonna run out on your baby?
I wish all the black people were as smart as Hotep Jesus.
Huh?
And I wish all the
your
white
taxpayer dollars and shit.
Jesus. And I wish all the Hispanics were as smart as Hotep Jesus. Because that guy, he really gets it. He knows how to boil it down.
We throw money in that bucket. You don't just sell when your stock is down. You gotta hodl.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
How do you condemn your baby? You can't do that. You can't do that. That's why I don't understand the conversation. On one side, I'm looking at the Palestinians like, damn, y'all got just like us. Oh, well. On the other side, I'm looking at the Israelis and shit like, oh, y'all the colonists. Oh, that's the baby. Oh, that's your daddy? Got you. Say less. This is Western Civ. I just study Western Civ. You know, somebody called me a dilettante. You right, because I only study the shit I give a fuck about. I'm not studying all this shit. I'm only understanding enough to know how the fuck this shit work.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
You can keep all your little extra information and shit and who did here, and I want to know the what and how. I want to know the how. That's what I narrowed down on, how. I'm going to fuck about what, who did what. This is all fucking niggas at the end of the day. Whether it's the nigga named Napoleon or the nigga named William of Orange, you know, whatever it may be. I want to know the how. How did it go down? And then I can apply that to my life and I can see patterns today. I'm just looking for the patterns. Oh, okay, this happened here. Da, da, da. Like I told you, I looked at the British report. I read about half of it. Then I read the economic. I read up to what I showed y'all, right? I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. Then I read the economic and money part. And I made my highlight right there. I'm like, oh, I see what's going on. It's clear as day. It's right there in the report. I don't got to read the whole fucking thing. Never make people believe you got to read the entirety of something. Smart people don't read entire books. We pick up the book and we take out of that bitch what we want and leave the fucking rest until it's pertinent again.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
You know more that way. You end up knowing more that way. You spend all day reading the whole fucking book, you'll be here forever. Now, some books do deserve to be read back to front. I will not deny that. Some books definitely deserve to be read back to front. But it's better to read some of a bunch of books than to read nothing, okay?
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
But all these motherfuckers, man, it's just niggas. It's just niggas doing shit. Just gangs. It's just gang warfare that's been around since the first time a nigga got his girl took. Because that's what this is all about. Sin was born the day the nigga, they try to tell you it was Eve and the apple note. Sin was born the day a nigga saw his bitch getting smashed by another nigga.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
That was the day sin was born. Okay? So, you know, who's doing what? Oh, the Jews. Oh, the white man. Shit doesn't really mean nothing to me. I'm trying to understand the game that's being played. You know why? Because I'm a player.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Because I'm a player. I'm not a player hater. You're not about to sit up here and have me try to fight a system that's been in place since the time man was born. I'm not fighting the system. I educate you. I give you some game. I'll put you up on game. I'll support some shit, you know, a nice bill or two in Congress. That's playing the game. Once you enter into contractual agreements with the government and you start supporting bills and getting behind bills, you playing the game. You playing the game.
Okay.
So that's part of the game. So you say fight the system. I'm like, I'll get behind a bill. Fight the system? Which system, nigga? You know how many systems you got to fight to get to the top of the thing? Yo. Jason.
Hey, what's up?
What up, bro?
All right, I just came in to talk about the DNA tests in Israel for a second.
Okay.
I don't know what Jabari was talking about. They're allowed, but there's a bunch of posts on.
No, you said blood test. Blood test.
Oh yeah. Blood tests, I guess, are allowed, but it's the DNA tests that are. You have to have a court order to get a DNA test. Which there's a lot of Jerusalem Post articles about it, which that's the biggest English language newspaper in Israel. So, I mean, newspapers do lie sometimes, but we're going for a Israeli source on this one. So they're saying that it's a Genetic Information Protection Act that is keeping people from getting DNA tests. But I mean, if you gave old Benjamin Yoo-hoo, a DNA test that showed that he was Polish, not really from that area. And if it was Sephardic Jews that were conquering Palestine, I could see that that would be the same family, inter-family beef. But it seems more like a European family beefing with a Middle Eastern family.
You said they're part of the Middle Eastern family?
The Sephardic Jews, which most of the people in power in Israel aren't Sephardic Jews. They're more the European Jews.
Yeah.
And there's that phrase that you hear thrown around a lot, you know, show me who you can't talk about, and that'll show you who's in charge. Well, I'm just a peasant with an internet connection, and I've heard that phrase. So don't people think that world-class propagandists have also heard that phrase and could easily use the knowledge of that phrase to create red herrings?
Wait, what?
I mean, they have that phrase, show me who you can't talk about, and that'll tell you who's in charge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people say, since you can't talk about Jewish people, that shows they're in charge. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure world-class propagandists also know that phrase.
But why are they there? If they there, why are they there?
If the European Jews are there, is that what you're saying?
If the Jews are in power, how did they get there?
Oh, well, British. The British
okay. All right. So I don't want to hear shit. And this isn't at you, Jason. This isn't at you. I'm just saying from the people that say that. I don't want to hear that shit. You can't say these niggas run the world, but another motherfucker empowered him to do it. What does that say about the other motherfucker's power?
Hotep, you're a genius.
Exactly.
HotepJesus.com.
Classic scapegoat shit. And that's what they do. They scapegoat each other. The white man blame the Jew blame the white man. It's just a bunch of fucking scapegoating. I ain't stupid.
Well, a lot of the Jewish people aren't even in power. They're just average, everyday individuals. I mean, it'd be almost like if Mexico ruled the world.
Jews are beneficiaries of Jewish schools.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Yeah.
That's why Jews excel, because they educate themselves.
Exactly. Which, I mean, a lot of people, if you're smart enough, you'll know not to fuck with everybody and take care of your own shit, which is what a lot of Jewish people do. But that's all I got, so I'll let you get to the next caller. Hotep and Build.
My man, Hotep and Build. Hi, Goldstein doing an interview with Duke Lucas. Fire. The Hotep Nation Network is growing. Let me just catch up on the chat here. They have their own schools, their own books. I'm just saying, like, he said the royal family ain't even British. Yo, you hear what I refer to these people as? I always call them Germans. You've heard me say that on this stream. I usually refer to them as Germans, but the legal term is British. But they Germans. Okay? I always say that. I say the Germans. The unseen hand, aka the black hand, might be in control, but they're not the ones on TV telling us we got to take jabs and all. Somebody said when you get to the top, it's going to be a black dude sitting there. I'm going to be crying. Get to the final boss. Lindsay, another example. I searched to fish. You can't find articles. The thing is, it's not even, it's not an organized mass as people make it seem like. The way that the Illuminati cabal is aligned, according to my current theory, is it's very much decentralized, and it's very egocentric, and you're gonna have to be good at game theory. You're gonna have to be really, really good at game theory. But they are playing chess, okay? They are playing chess with each other, and the nations are their pieces, the corporations are their pieces. And what happens is there comes a point where, let's say two entities meet, and when these two entities meet, it's a lose-lose for both of them. So that's where you'll find cooperation. When it becomes a lose-lose, because these people will take each other out. They will take each other out. start showing signs of weakness, gotta take you out. So they will take you out. And that's why you see a lot of people getting sacrificed in the industry and all this other stuff. It's because of this game theory stuff. At one point, it was beneficial for me to be in business with you. At another point, it's better for you to have. It's better to get rid of you. Don't need you anymore. You've served your purpose. None of your sons turned out to be multi-platinum selling artists. Robert Jones said, will Hotepistan be a colony/vassal state of the USA? We might be on another planet, yo.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
We might not even be on Earth. That's how crazy, huh? We might build a planet, B. I'm going to get Dr. Tanai Ricks. I'm going to get in there like Terrence Howard, and we going to create a planet, nigga. Hotepistan's a planet.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
It's like, nah, I don't know. Hotep went God level Christian story. Eve was hitting the snake. Oh, man. Adam caught getting a little neck from the snake. It's always been about the real money in the world. P-U-S-S-Y. Facts. Angelia said Adam saw that snake getting in and was like, well, I'm out. Grifters is genius. Got to. Eve spoke to a snake, huh? See? For instance, my book, The Patriot Report. Yeah. Speaking of reports, I wrote a report based upon primary sources. Go get it at HotepJesus.com. It's called The Patriot Report.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
We should be thankful HJ is black. Nigga, could you imagine if I was white? Nigga, I'd probably be evil. The evil version of me is probably a white dude. Could you imagine an evil white version of me? Y'all would be in trouble. Y'all would be in so much trouble. I would be probably the most hated man on the planet. If I was white, nigga, you know how huge they'd make me? It's like, remember when they said Rosenberg was talking to Drake and he was like, yo, you're Jewish? Do you know how big you're gonna be? Right? If I was white, you know how big I'd be? Oh my God. Out of here. He said, if my kid acting gay, I'm abandoning him too. Facts.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
Facts. So the DNA thing is not true, apparently. DNA testing is not banned in Israel. The genetic information law passed in 2000 amid privacy concerns conditions domestic testing on a doctor's prescription or court order, and that testing be done by accredited labs. Jabari told y'all. Commercial ancestry tests can be purchased from abroad. Jabari told y'all. Y'all keep running around here with these fake conspiracy theories. They're gonna have you this is how they get y'all. This is how they get y'all. They call you anti-Semites because it's like, why are you spreading fake news? Y'all better leave them folk alone. See, y'all fucking with the branches of the beast. Y'all not going straight for the head. That's y'all problem. Y'all keep looking at Israel. Y'all think Israel the head. Y'all keep thinking that. Twitter selling your dad to the IDF, but TikTok is wrong. Yeah. England and USA had a mixed Jew baby. Facts. This is why they can't bring me on no podcast to talk about this Israel shit, because I'll just kill the whole argument. It won't even be nothing to talk about. It'd be a 5-minute podcast. I can't talk about this dumb shit. Like, what the fuck is y'all talking about? Y'all up here arguing and doing debates and... Nigga, can we talk about something else? Can we talk about something else? So, hopefully after today's presentation, everybody understands why Hotep Jesus does not talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Thumbs up in the chat if you now understand why I don't like talking about it. Why I find the conversation on it corny. I told y'all I got the report, read the report. I don't even think I might have had one tweet about the whole situation after reading the report, or a couple, but I ain't really do no real deep dive. I just wanted to know, right? I didn't even think to turn it into content. So today what happened was I saw that on my timeline. I saw that. No, actually Jabari posted this. Shout out to Jabari, super producer Jabari. Jabari posted this. And I looked at it and I'm like, that's factually correct. And I was like, oh, I know what I'm talking about on the show today. I'm going to just go to this research I already did. I got some other research I'm working on now. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's why these people can't talk to me, because it's not good TV. It's not good entertainment to bring somebody on and talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and then I just come in and be like, it's none of our business. But what about the people suffering? It's none of our business. But what about the Zionists? It's none of our business. Them niggas is cousin. Emir Faisal said in 1917, what year was it? I might just try and remember this factoid. Let's all remember this factoid. What did Emir Faisal say? We are all of the same blood. Hold on, I'm gonna find that quote. Right here. Hold on. When therefore the Emir Faisal came to London and Paris to talk about the Balfour Declaration, what'd he say? What was this, 1918? In Palestine, the enormous majority of the people are Arabs. The Jews are very close to the Arabs in blood. What am I supposed to do about that? The nigga said this in 1918. We ain't need no DNA test. He like, yo, that's my cousin, you know. You know what I mean? That's my cousin. You know, I might have a little spot for him to stay in the backyard. You know what I mean? In the guest house. Emir Faisal. Emir Faisal. How you say that name? Faisal? Let's look this nigga up. Let's look up the Emir. There you go. This nigga got a long ass name too. Hold on. Faisal ibn al-Hussein bin Ali al-Hashemi. All right? Y'all see that? Remember the Hashemites. All right. From 1916 to 1918, with British assistance, he played a major role in the revolt against the Ottoman Empire. He helped set up an Arab government in Syria based in Damascus and led the Arab delegation at the Paris Peace Conference in 1919. I'm trying to pinpoint what year this quote is from. Probably 1919. Because it says here he went to Britain and France. So it's probably 1919. In 1920, the Syrian National Congress proclaimed him king, rejecting the French claim to mandate for Syria. In response, France invaded a few months later, abolished the kingdom, and forced them to exile. Okay? So you want to talk about what's going on in this region. The Arabs chose their king. France is like, fuck that. We invading, taking your shit. All right? But the king of the people of Syria, of the Arabs, this nigga said the Jews is our cousins. Jews are very close to Arabs in blood, and there is no conflict of character between the two races. So how did one come about? How did one come about? A select few of men plotted. A select few of men plotted. Okay. He helped set up an Arab government. Right here in 1932, he presided over the independence of Iraq upon the end of the British Mandate. So that's what we were just talking about, the British Mandate, right? And the country's entry into the League of Nations. Died of a heart attack in 1933 in Bern, Switzerland at the age of 48, succeeded by his eldest son, Ghazi. In 1920, the Syrian National Congress proclaimed and rejected a few months later. In accordance. Okay, so it says in 1921, the British said, make him king of the new kingdom of Iraq under British administration. Because that's what the people believed in. He fostered unity between Sunni and Shiites. So even the Muslims was cool with each other. Promote pan-Arabism in the goal of creating an Arab state that would include Iraq, Syria, and the rest of the Fertile Crescent. All right? Nobody was calling them European colonizers fake Jews back then, huh?
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
See what I'm saying? I seen an African man say that the British wanted African soldiers to go in and fight in Ukraine. African dude said, hell no. Sounds about right. They probably went down there recruiting. The Young Turks were part of that revolt. We should all be kind and treat one another. Israel was established to be a strategic ally in the region.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
Exactly. Exactly. Really Graceful has a fantastic video on this document, on this topic. Word. Word. You know what I mean? So, again, this is why, you ask me, how come, you don't get interviews for this and that? Nigga, they don't want to talk to me. I'm boring, nigga. I tell the truth. And the truth is fucking boring sometimes. Well, sometimes. Sometimes it's really fucking wild. But, they want somebody who's going to go in and pick a side. That's what they want. If you're not picking a side in the Israel-Palestine conflict, nobody's going to call you and ask for an interview. It's just not going to happen. And you can't be mad at that. Like, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Call from
because
Jack Reeves.
it's just fucking boring, right? Like it's just fucking boring. Like even myself, like if you're gonna publish a video on the Israel-Palestine conflict, nah, nigga, I want to see somebody fucking arguing. I wanted to see Nick versus Laura Luma. That's the shit I want to see. That's the shit I'm tuning in for. Other than that, I can go fucking I can read the British report on it. I don't need to watch some fucking show to get the truth. I want to see some motherfuckers argue. So I totally get it. Yo, Jack, what up, yo?
Not much, man. How you doing today, bro?
Good. What you got for us?
I mean, yeah, it's fucking hot. It's like 104 in the shade here in Arizona. Yeah, it's D-Day, man. So I got a quick story about my first cousin, a gentleman called George Kirkland. He was on the first wave of Omaha Beach in Normandy, which means Northland, not Northland, Norse, as in Vikings. Yeah, we took that shit. Anyways, he was on the first wave in a landing craft on Omaha Beach. First man on the door, trained for 3 years for this day. Bam, the fucking door goes down. He takes an MG-42 fucking heavy machine gun round to his hip. Falls back. All the guys march over him. The guy that was controlling the door pulls him back on the Higgins craft. I think it was Higgins landing craft. And every other single man on that landing craft died that day. He was the only one to survive out of his whole entire group of guys. He moved back to Arizona, started a cattle ranching company, and died at a ripe old age of like 70, 80. Fuck, how old have you been? That was like 15 years ago he died. Anyways, yeah, that's my little story about D-Day today, man.
Love it, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's heartwarming, man. Shout out to old boy, man, for surviving.
Yeah, he's the only guy that survived, man. He took that bullet to his pelvis. Fucking, he lived for the rest of his life. But yeah, the only man to survive first wave of D-Day. Every other man on that landing craft met his fate on that beach.
RIP to the soldiers. Happy D-Day and all of that, yo.
Yeah, God bless, man. And Parabellum. Peace, love, light, Hotep and build.
Hotep and build. Motherfucking Jack Reeves. Ronan calling. Palestine, let me save you. Oh, wait, you don't exist. Exactly. Where do the black Israelites fit in all that mess? I don't even fucking know. I don't know. That's a question I want to know. I tried to watch Captain Tazariak on the subject, but it was with no jumper, so they never, no jumper just jokes all the time. Yo, Ronan, what up? Ronan.
Hello? Hey, what's up, Hotep?
What's good, Joe?
Not much. I'm gonna keep it.
You chopping up. You choppy.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna keep this really quick. A few weeks ago, I sent you in Twitter a screenshot regarding the topic and right now between Israel and Palestine. I think it will actually add some further weight to the report from the British consulate.
You sent me a what?
In Twitter, I sent you a screenshot from a lecture that I was listening to regarding the origins of Yiddish.
I don't see it here. When did you send this?
You should. Ronin Art and Music is what I sent it to you under.
Ronin what?
Art and Music.
Oh. I follow you, don't I?
Yep.
Why is it not? You tagged me on Twitter or you DM'd it?
I DM'd you.
When?
A few weeks ago.
Oh, I'm looking for some recent shit. Where the fuck you at? There you go. To accomplish the task, Ben Yehuda insisted with... Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up on the screen. Oops. What is it? It's probably like an image caption. All right, so it's not on this page. I'm trying to find the actual. You don't got the link?
No, it was from a video that I was watching, actually.
Oh, man. See, if we could get the link, we'd be on and popping. Hold on, let me try to find the link.
All right, well, I'll leave that to you, man. Hotep and build.
All right, yo, Hotep and build. Actually, let's do it like this. Hold on. All right, let me see. What does it say? Actually, let's go to the other. Let's go to this here. All right, so we have Ben Yehuda. Oh, all right. Hold on. Let's bring this over. So what he was saying was the invention of Yiddish. And they have a thing here. You guys see this? Yeah. Right there. To accomplish the task. Actually, I didn't need to do that. Hold on. To accomplish the task, Ben Yehuda insisted with the committee of the Hebrew language that in order to supplement the deficiencies of the Hebrew language, the committee coins words according to the rules of grammar and linguistic analogy from Semitic roots, Aramaic, and especially from Arabic roots. Okay? And this is, you know, how we, I believe this is the invention of Yiddish, right? Yeah. Yeah. Ben Yehuda set out to develop a new language that could replace Yiddish and other regional dialects as a means of everyday communication between Jews who moved to Israel from various regions of the world. Ben Yehuda regarded Hebrew and Zionism as symbolic. The Hebrew language can live only if we revive the nation and return it to the fatherland, he wrote. So what's happening here? What is this? Oh, modern Hebrew. Okay. Got you. Modern Hebrew. Got you. Thank you, Jabari. During World War I, when Jamal Pasha, the Turkish commander in Palestine, outlawed Zionism, Ben Yehuda left for the United States. There he wrote his book, Until When Was Hebrew Spoken? He returned to Palestine in 1919, together with M. Usishkin. He prevailed upon Herbert Samuel, the British High Commissioner, to declare Hebrew one of 3 official languages of the country. In December 2022, Ben Yehuda, 64, died of tuberculosis. So that's how it got declared an official language. This nigga right here. Right here. You want to learn about him right here? Eliza Yitzhak Perlman, right? Later, Eliza Ben Yehuda, was born in Lutsky, Lithuania. He attended a Jewish elementary school where he studied Hebrew and Tanakh from the age of 3. Ben Yehuda's father, a Chabad Chassid, died when Eliza was 5. At the age of 13, he was sent to his uncle to attend the yeshiva. Jabari, what's a yeshiva? A masculine secret. Introduced him to secular literature to save him from heresy. His uncle sent him to study in Then he went to DeVince Gymnasium. Oh, it's a religious school? School? Okay. Word. Thank you, y'all. See what I'm saying? Anyway. It's time for me to go. It's that time. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope y'all learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot about my perspective and why I don't like talking about the conflict and why I find it utterly fucking boring. Now you all know. Now you don't know. So go read the British Mandate. The British Mandate and the report. Go read it. You'll learn a lot. Robert Jones, thank you. Andre K, Jabari, Daxter, Tyler, Mr. G. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all. Thanks for the love on the donations. Shout out to the rumblers rumbling. Inside the ages, when it comes down to it, the animosity between the Arabs and Jews is the fault of one woman, Abraham's wife Sarah. She was jealous of Hagar's BA, but after she pushed her man to Hagar's bed is women. See? Inside the ages, good insight right there. Good insight right there. Yeah, I know. But I'm out of here, man. I'll see y'all tonight, 8 p.m. I'm gonna go rest up and refresh so I can be ready for tonight. I'll see y'all, man. Be well, stay merry, tell somebody in your family that you love them. And as always, Hotep and Bill.
Envision a sanctuary where community and sustainability are the cornerstones of living. In this haven, every family is able to grow their own food, children flourish through homeschooling tailored to unlock their full potential, and education extends beyond textbooks, instilling self-worth and a deep understanding of the world around them. Here, goodwill isn't just an ideal, it's the essence of daily life, where respect for law and order harmonizes with the community's resourcefulness. This place isn't just a dream, it's a call to action for everyone who believes in a better, more connected way of living. Join us in building a future where each individual's contributions create a tapestry of enduring harmony and prosperity. Join us in Hotepistan,